Millfield, Ohio, and the Russell Family Farm play host to Round 7, the 31st annual Weisco John Penton GNCC. To say racing runs in the Russells' blood would be an understatement. In fact, in the rare occasion they bleed, race gas may flow from their veins. And this weekend, a turning of the page. The champ, 7-time Caleb Russell, lines up where it all began for his final appearance as an XC1 contender looking to exit on top. A field of hungry newcomers and resilient veterans look to deny him that pleasure. Josh Strang comes into today's race after a second-place finish at last round's High Point GNCC. The 6-lap Dust Bowl saw him mount a last-lap charge as he finished mere seconds behind Russell. And don't forget about Ben Kelly. After his third-place finish, just one race back on the bike. One last ride on the champ's home turf. Who you got? Can KR557 exit with a bang, or will the rest of the field play spoiler? The Russell family and the rest of the world will be watching. Find out next, live on RacerTV.
Go! GNCC Racing!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to GNCC Live on RacerTV.com. I'm Rodney Tomlin, along with Mikey Waynes, also Tyler Shepardson and Johnny Gallagher along in a little bit as well, as we get set for today's big action. Round number 7 of America's premier off-road racing championship, the 2020 GNCC Series, presented by Specialized in AMA National Championship, and this is the Weisco John Penton GNCC, the 31st running, and, of course, the longest-standing GNCC on the circuit as we roll into this weekend. A very historic weekend, Mikey Wayne says. We are here at the Russell Family Farm getting ready to roll into, well, the exact midway point of the season. This round 7 of 13. We're at the halfway point. We're going to get to see a lot of great swings here today.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Rodney. There's history at every GNCC track we go to, but man, it is hard to beat the history behind this John Penton GNCC track. And one of those things in the history books is Caleb Russell. His name is stamped on what seems like every track, every race. And this weekend, something pretty cool with the KTM Youth Day crew being featured on the t-shirt along with his dad, Caleb. A little changing of the guard, if you will, in Caleb's farewell tour and, if you will, his rookie micro season of crew.
I think that is so neat, the legacy, kind of a passing of the torch, if you will, being here at the Russell Family Farm and KTM able to take advantage of that situation. It really goes to show you, I think, the core and the strength of this family-oriented sport that we've got here in off-road racing. But I'll tell you something else that we've got, Mikey, is great racing. And speaking of great racing, coming off of a great race, Caleb Russell taking the win at the last round, off of a loss the round before, coming up a little bit short behind Josh Strang. Had another one staked, everybody's staking claims for a win. You know, Josh Strang wanted to get back up there. Didn't seem to have what it was going to take there at the early part of the race, but as always, the freight train got up to steam again.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Rodney, and I know the big question is when Caleb is gone, who's going to fill those racing boots? And a lot of people pick Ben Kelly to be that guy. Coming into 2020, he had the injury. We haven't really gotten a chance to see what he's capable of That changed last round, coming off a third-place finish after the injury. That's pretty daggone impressive.
You know, a lot of folks might even think that he might be even ready to take some wins, especially as strong as he was coming off of that injury and this first race back like that. So that's going to be exciting. A lot of people will be watching out for him today, as well as many of the other key players in this XC1 class. But we've also got some pretty good battles going back in our XC2 Pro Lights class, I guess is what we'd like to call it, the 250 class back there. I tell you, again, heated battles up front, and you never know who's going to take the checkers at that one.
Yeah, Mike Wachowski seems to be hitting his stride on the new bike. And then, of course, Craig DeLong, the confidence boost he's gotten being with Rockstar Husky since that transition has just been stellar. Watching those two guys go out there and battle each weekend. And a guy like Liam Draper, who finished third last week or 2 weekends ago, you can never count him out either.
The FMF XC3 125 class, also another great show. You've got Jason Raines out there taking the win. But really, I think the championship is going to come down between the second and third place guys last time, Zach Hayes and Nathan Ferderer. Those two kids, those are young ones, and Jason Raines is doing nothing but grooming them for bigger and better things in the future.
That nails it right there. He's showing them, hey, the old dog still got it. You whippersnappers, I'm not done yet. And you're only going to get better racing against a guy like Jason Raines.
Well, I tell you, you never know what you're going to get here at Wiseco, John Penton, GNCC. Let's check in with Jared Bolton to find out what the track's like.
Thanks, guys. Welcome once again to the 31st running of the John Penton GNCC. This event's the oldest event on the schedule at the moment. In a couple more years, it's going to have hosted more events than any other venue in the history of GNCC racing. And that comes with good reason. This is a beautiful facility. People love coming and racing here, but it's no easy course. The Ohio clay is incredibly slick. I grew up in North Carolina, and I thought red clay was the absolute slickest thing on the face of the planet. But turns out it's nothing compared to Southern Ohio. And in fact, any Southern Ohio race in the rain is probably one of the toughest events in the world. I'd rival that against, anything out there. There is a chance of rain this weekend. It'll make this course really tough. There's uphills, there's downhills, there's fast trail, there's tight trail. A little bit of something for everybody out there. And yes, I say that every week, but that really holds true here at the John Penton. For the bikes on Sunday, we've got the John Penton section. It's a special, old school, tough, technical section. And if it's raining on that, well, those guys are in for a long day. That section can make or break your race. That's this week's Yamaha track description. Back to you guys.
Thanks a lot, Jared. Looks like we got ourselves a great track here today, Mikey, and a great race that lies ahead. Who knows what's going to happen at the end of this one?
That's right, Rodney. I'm ready to get right down to it. We're going to take a word from our sponsors and go down to the starting line where you'll be there with the 10-second call.
When you crave the canyon passes, rocky trails, rutted tracks, the podiums and personal records, it becomes part of you. The choice now is, do you become a wanderer or the wanderer? You just need to ride where you belong.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Well, there you have it, folks. The stage is set and GNCC racing about to resume here at the Russell Family Farm as we get set to light the soils up of southeastern Ohio for one final time in a 3-hour excursion through these woods, these hills, these creeks and valleys. As we get set to roll today, let's introduce to you our starting lineup for our premier XC1 Pro class. Our riders heading to the starting line in accordance to points after 6 rounds of racing complete. And rolling to the line first today aboard the number 1 from Boonville, North Carolina, but also from right here in the great state of Ohio on an FMF Factory Racing KTM, Caleb Russell. Riding aboard the number 114 from Australia on a Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Team Green Kawasaki, the Freight Train, Josh Strang. To the line today, 3rd in points, riding aboard the 127 from Livingston, Tennessee, also on a Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Team Green Kawasaki, Jordan Ashburn. 4th in points, riding aboard the 314 from Honey Pat, South Carolina on a Factory One Sherco, Grant Baylor. On the number 206, hailing from Winsted, Connecticut on an FMF Factory Racing KTM, Josh Toth. Riding aboard the number 410 from Birdsboro, Pennsylvania on a Phoenix Honda Racing Honda, Andrew DeLong. And welcoming back to his 2nd race today aboard the number 530 from Harwinton, Connecticut on an FMF KTM Factory KTM, Ben Kelly. A hometown boy riding aboard the 121 from Logan, Ohio on a Husqvarna FXR Thornhill Automotive Husky, Corey Buttrick. Riding aboard the number 47 from Bainbridge, Ohio on an S&S Motorsports Twin Air Kenda Tire KTM, Levi Keller. And aboard the number 356, visiting from Hollister, California on an FMF Maxxis RPM KTM, Dante Oliveira. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this XC1 Open Pro class here, road number 1 at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. As we begin our starting sequence, our riders now down on the starting line, some 250 strong in this afternoon's racing adventure. And of course, our front riders on road number 1, our premier riders, the fastest riders in the world, getting ready to lead them out here today at this Russell Family Farm we know and love as a John Penton GNCC, beginning so many years ago, back in 1990 as the Burr Oaks. It has certainly grown into one of the greatest GNCC stops on the tour, and obviously one of the most iconic stops as well. As we look to Ricky Towery, it looks like we're getting all systems go from all corners of the property here today. Timing and scoring is ready. Medical is ready. Road crossings are ready. Moto track is ready. The track is clear and ready to go. And Ricky Towery makes his way to the first turn region where he will begin to orchestrate our starts once again here for this 2020 season. As we roll into the midway point, he signals these riders and lets them know we're so much closer to going racing now as we're less than a minute away. And Ricky zooms his position there in that first turn area as he gets set to signal these riders. And this time out, the next time we will see the blue flag waving. That means shut them down, guys. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. It's about time to go racing. And I got to ask you, race fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Sounds pretty good, but you don't sound as enthusiastic as I think you should, so I'm going to ask you one more time, Ohio. Are you ready to go GNCC Racing? 10 seconds. And road number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at this Wiseco John Penton GNCC. Around the first turn we go. Caleb Russell threading needles, taking the early lead. Ben Kelly back in second, and that is the 127 of Jordan Ashburn. Also, look at that. Andrew DeLong in the mix of that top 5 as well here today as we go to the XC2 250 Pro class. Ryder Lafferty, Simon Johnson, Sam Evans, Tyler Soriano, Leon Draper, Mike Rokowski, Ben Parsons, Jesse Ansley, Craig DeLong. 10 seconds. Matteo Oliveira, William Riordan, also Angus Riordan, Tyler Lynn, Benjamin Nelko, Austin Serpa, Zane Roberts, Preston Campbell, Ryder LeBlanc, Thornton Devlin, also Hunter Newer, Johnny Garor, Jonathan Johnson, and Cody Barnes. The 521 of Thornton Devlin does it again. Thornton Devlin out of Tampa, Pennsylvania, on a factory Beta USA machine. As we go to the row 3 of the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class, Jason Raines, Mike DeLosa, Benjamin Wright, Jeremy Lallemand, Nathan Ferderer, Jason Lipscomb, Zach Hayes, and Jake Froman in 10 seconds. The sweet sing of the 125 two-stroke, rounding that first turn now. 254, Benjamin Wright from Gillette, Pennsylvania, ringing it out, taking the early lead in this one as we go to the 258 class. Johnny Madera, Tristan Lander, Trevor Gatz, also Zachary Davidson, Bubs, Tasha, Brody Johnson, Matthew Davis, Bolton Biroff, Brendan Poling, Trevor Maley. 10 seconds. Jason Smalley, John Gentry, Jonathan McDougall, Dakota DeVore, Jeremy Wallstrom, Andrew Gross, and Neil Inman. Zach Davidson, a good start on that 199 from Iron Station, North Carolina. Husqvarna USA Dunlop fly, and Chad Davis racing back right, taking the early lead. As we go to the Open A class, Kobe Becker, Brady Myers, Tyler Braniff, Alex Luger, Chase Hayes, Nathan Rector, Dylan Dela Cruz, Will Seibenpiper, Adam Raska, Brandon Krause, Justin Leonard. 10 seconds. Noah Clark, Dylan Gore, Peyton Harden, and Joshua Ellis. Around the first turn, 451 on the machine. That's 457, I'm sorry. 457, that is Dylan Gore from Chapmanville, West Virginia on a Kenda Tires P3 Carbon O'Neill bag machine. As we go to the 150A class, we got riders like Max Fernandez, Jared Miranda, Max Rust, Alex Metz, Ian Potter, Eli Childers. 10 seconds. Dustin Bennins, Tanner Collins, Collar Coughlin, Braden Nolette, Dylan Hicks, and Blake Yaharis. All right, round the first turn. How are we gonna sort this one out? 404. Yep. Tanner Collins from Crooksville, Ohio. Bonsai Suspension, Sixes Lawn Care, Kenda, and Dirt Prodigies backed ride. Four Stroke A Lights, Cole Whittemer, also Alexander Patterson, Grady Fink, Tyler Palmer, Russell Smith, Travis Renaud, JoJo Cunningham, Mitchell Owenby, Adam Parker, Justin Lafferty, Cannon Knupp, Lance Machino. 10 seconds. Sam Hall, Josh Bender, Hayden Dillon, Cody Meeks, Dylan Carano, and Jace Knopp. Around that first turn, getting her all sorted out. Whoa, 44 maybe, no? That was JoJo, I believe, Cunningham, if I'm not mistaken, on the Bonsai Teely Sixes Lawn Care Team Green Kawasaki ride. But a 10 seconds. Joe Marsh, Louis Oleon, Mikhail Gomez, Joshua White, Surly Amancio, Nathan Allering, Danny Haftold, Kevin Young, Joseph McCarty, Morgan Green, Curtis Willis, James Bauer, Robbie Norwood, Tom Truxell, Matt Modick, Silvano DeFaria, and Bill Zavendi, all in this next row, and that is the 3-6-0 of Surly Amancio taking the early lead. Some carnage down here in turn one, but quickly back up and remounting the bike as we get to the senior A40 plus class. Shotgun Sean Remington, Smiling Frank Messina, Macomb Pastine, also Joe Potter. 10 seconds. Michael Vildis, Jared Feller, Bo Hamlet, Vinny Tomic, Todd Thompson, Steve Lambruno, and Darren Darmos. Shotgun Sean Remington like a bullet out of a barrel once again, pulling this early lead on that Coastal Husqvarna. I think I finally got it right. Junior AB 25 plus class coming up next. Sam Forrester, Matt Bruffy, Ryan Slopko, Grant Marriott, Zach Nash, Brady Stepanek, Austin Franklin. Also looking at Michael Kingstad, David Muchisco, Jesse Kildo. 10 seconds. Cody Jeffers, happy birthday. Also Cole Madison, Cole Robbins, and Andrew Boggs. Junior AB 25 plus class, 166. That's actually 766. Cole Matson from Waverly, West Virginia. On a limited Barrett's Power Sports Way Up Apparel Fast and Back Machine. 250B class coming up next. 10 seconds. Warren Friend, Carter Holzer, Trent Gaither, Ezra Prine, Cole Henderson, Nate Meiser, Ryan Richards, David Hand, Ty Hughes, Reese Harmon, James Larson, Wyatt Schumann, John McGee, Joshua Connor, Joshua Gannon, Ethan Dingle, Tanner Forrester, Cameron Madison, Parker Todd, Aaron Waldrop, and Andrew Inman. Whoa! I'm going to say 363, Ezra Prine from Shinston, West Virginia. Enduro 31, WPS Fly Racing 100%, and Speed Labs backed ride. 150B coming up next. Peyton Gwynn, Justin Nye, Toby Cleveland, Christopher Eddy, Joshua Klauchik, Ian Weissman, Nick Barrier, Blaine Barrier. Also Anthony Blackburn, Blake Kohler, Aaron Hess, Cooper Jones, David Honowski, Nathan Dulaney, Lucas Grounds in 10 seconds. Will lightning strike today? We'll see. 321, Peyton Gwynn, a great jump into that first turn. Let's see what happens down here. It is Peyton Gwynn out of Parkersburg, West Virginia. Dunlop, FXR, Flow Vision, and Crash Addicts backed ride. The Vet B30 plus class coming up next. Larry Hopper, Adam Odell, Nick Plank, Ian Smith, Jeremiah Taylor, Charles Scott, Cody Hosta, Corey Tolliver, Benjamin Kelly, Tyler Click, Charles Becker, Ernest Martin, Ambrose Kolaski, Dylan Barnhouse, Joshua Webb, and Jimmy Johnson. 10 seconds. Around that first turn, we got some KTMs up front. 437, that's Corey Tolliver from Beaver, West Virginia. Open B class, Dustin Feller, Evan Maynard, Chase Briley, Casey Fleeman, Dominic Jarvis, Alan Blavos, Trenton Madison, Junior Smith, also Dylan Fleming, Brandon Gearing. 10 seconds. Dawson Nixon, Gregory Tenney, Colton Hawk, Jacob Maynard, and Jamison Hardy. All right, let's see how this one's going. 3:05, that's Evan Maynard from Argolite, Kentucky, grabbing the early lead in this one. That could be a distant cousin, too. Senior B40 plus class, Gene Swid with Brent Belsel, Robert Bates, Jerry Page, Brent Maynard, Jeffrey Hively, Chad Miller, Rick Liller, Shannon Hatfield, Mike Horwatt in 10 seconds. And they're all. See if we can get some names and numbers on this for you. 445 is his GNCC number, 712 on the machine. Brent Maynard from Genoa, West Virginia. Couple of Maynards back-to-back hole shots there, so there you go. As we got, looks like one more to go here. 10 seconds. Four-stroke B lights, Jesse Groves, Austin Hobatter, Trevor Golden, Miles Gefkin, Noah Alexander, Colin Gearing, Blaiston Moore, Wyatt Morris, Kobe Dunham, Hayden Schultz, and TJ Fine. .256, Miles Gefkin from Benton, PA on the GTS machine will cross the hole shot strike first, battling it out in turn number 3 as they try to get her all sorted out. And speaking of sorting out, certainly miles of that to get taken care of today, about 13 of them. Of course, our XC1 Pro class out there making things happen. Wondering how things are going. Well, we'll stick around and find out. We're going to pick up with our leaders and what's taking place at this 31st running of the Wiseco GNCC when we return here on Racer TV.
When you crave the canyon passes, rocky trails, rutted tracks, the podiums and personal records, it becomes part of you. The choice now is, do you become a wanderer or the wanderer? You just need to ride where you belong.
It's hard to put our adventures on hold, but now is the perfect time to prepare for their return. AMSOIL has your back with fast, free shipping, and ordering has never been easier. Just look up your vehicle, select your product, add an oil change to your cart, and check out. Spend $50 on AMSOIL products, and shipping is on us. Order now at AMSOIL.com.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
Yamaha GNCC University returns, calling all ATV and motorcycle off-road racers. Are you looking to hone your riding and racing skills? Want to learn hands-on with the best of the best past and current GNCC racers and champions? Then sign up for the 2020 Yamaha GNCC University, returning to Snowshoe Mountain Resort September 23rd through the 25th. We're bringing together Yamaha's ATV and motorcycle racing elites to instruct in-depth courses on fundamentals of racing and riding. During the Yamaha GNCC University, students will participate in lectures about sportsmanship, training, proper nutrition, and mental preparation, along with hands-on skills and drills designed to improve your riding and confidence in a variety of terrain and situations. Reservations are on a first-come, first-served basis with limited openings, evenly split between the disciplines. For more details and to register, call Snowshoe Mountain Resort at 877-441-4386. We look forward to seeing you at the top of Snowshoe Mountain, then on top of the podium.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride. We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lieb, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that. Because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
Live coverage of the 2020 GNCC Series on RacerTV.com is brought to you by MMI. Get there faster, smarter. Specialized turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. I'm Mikey Waynes, and this is the 31st running of the Wiseco John Penton here in beautiful Millfield, Ohio. Live coverage today brought to you by the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, MMI. And again, hard to believe already into the halfway point of this 2020 season. And taking a look through the trees here at the Wiseco John Penton. It's been a wild start so far. All the lines off and rolling into the woods and racing. Hopefully you guys didn't tune away as we were doing the picture-in-picture, and we'll have some pretty good replays for you of the action that's happened. Looking at, obviously, mile marker number 7 right there. I think to get things started here, we're going to look at some quick replays of our starts. And here we go, the Specialized Rapid Replay. Your XC1 start replay coming up first. Ricky Towery with the flag wave. And as Rodney Tomlin put it, threading the needle was Caleb Russell getting out front early. Ben Kelly in that number 2 spot, and Jordan Ashburn I believe they're third off the start. So great start for those guys. That's exactly where you want to be if you're Caleb Russell. That's exactly the guy you don't want up front if you're not named Caleb Russell. XC2 start replay. Getting them dialed in on these starts. And the XC2 is that beta machine of Thorne Devlin. How about it? Get you some. Snagging the whole shot. We'll see if Thorne can put together the whole race here, maybe capture a win in that XC2 class before it's all said and done. And then, of course, our FMF XC3, the 125 class. Not another sound like it in the world, my friends. If you don't like that, I don't know what's wrong with you. How about it? So the XC3 class, the 254 of Benjamin Wright, going to get out in front of these guys and off and rolling. We'll see if he and the rest of the pack can hold off Jason Raines, who's coming off a win in that class. So there you go. We're still in the rapid replay, the specialized rapid replay. This is what we saw. We had a picture-in-picture right before we went to commercial break. Caleb out in front. I believe this is a shot we're going to get. And looking real similar through the FMF PowerPoint here to how the ATV racing action started yesterday. Pretty well single-file, tight racing. But boy, is it slick through here. You see them come out of shot. They're going to come right back in here. There is Caleb Russell in front of him. I was hoping we'd have that shot. Grant Baylor, Ben Kelly, and I think Toth right behind him there. I got a little glare on my screen. Ashburn and DeLong right behind him, chipping away. So still tight between all of our XC1 riders. Not a huge distance. And then this is what I was talking about. This is what I was waiting on. That was right there. How about that shot right there for the rapid replay? Caleb Russell going down, but boy, he was not the only one having a tough time through that. If you heard pre-race Jared Bolton talking about this John Penton track, hard to compare it as far as how slick it gets compared to anywhere else that we race on the East Coast. Ben Kelly actually had some trouble through there, ended up blowing out some of the Moose Racing tape. So off and rolling we are here at the Wiseco John Penton. I think we're going to get a look now at today's track map, give you guys an idea of what these pro riders and the rest of our A-class are going to be facing. So there you go, about a 10-mile course, plus the John Penton section. So it's more about, 12 and a half, 13 miles when it's all said and done. Of course, that bike-only section, that John Penton section there, these guys will run, which should be about where they're at on the track right now. As a matter of fact, that has got sounds like some parts that we have ran in the past, and there's also some new sections in there that they put in from the sounds of it, like within the last day or so. So should make for some interesting racing. Of course, our FMF PowerPoint, as well as our Monster Mile, a part of the GNCC Yamaha Racing track map here. Stu Baylor just called me. I'll have to call you back, Stu. I'm the only one in the booth right now, buddy. Give me a hot minute. I'll give you a call back. Stu must have the inside scoop coming off that birthday celebration. So if you're watching, Stu Baylor, happy belated birthday to you, my friend. Hope you're having fun. Hopefully you're feeling all right today. So taking a look at our riders coming through on screen here. Again, Caleb Russell out in front. Great start for him in this one. It kind of setting the tone for today. Strang has got the one win over Caleb this season, a couple rounds back, and kind of wondered how Caleb would do heading into the High Point GNCC, as he got a little banged up in the race prior to that, but able to come out and snag a win. Maybe not a surprise to many folks, but it was kind of a question mark. How's he going to handle coming back with some bumps and scrapes? Didn't seem to be a problem snagging a win at High Point GNCC. And then on top of that, of course, the big question is, it's his last season. Who's going to fill his shoes when he's gone? Well, Ben Kelly, obviously a guy who many talk about, has been injured this season. We haven't really had a chance to see what he is capable of. That all changed at the High Point GNCC, comes back, and there you go. There we talking about how slick that is. Don't feel bad, buddy. The same thing happened to Caleb Russell, so you're all right. Jump back on, get rolling. But Ben Kelly coming out with a third-place finish at the High Point GNCC, coming off that injury. And we're getting reports now. Sounds like, speak of the devil, sounds like Ben Kelly might actually be out in front. So how's that for a segue? We'll get some confirmation on that, but it sounds like the number 530 KTM might have worked his way up into the front of the pack. And Rodney Tomlin just walked in and said, Ben Kelly's in the lead. So that is the official word I'm taking right there. If Rodney Tomlin said it, doggone it. Rodney, that's what I was actually just talking about, was Ben Kelly with the injury he had early on in the season. Well, he kind of wondered, how is he going to ease back into this thing? Can he get a top 5 finish? Comes out, finishes third at the High Point GNCC. So I think if I'm the 530 of Ben Kelly, I come into this one thinking, okay, I got a top 3 overall. I know what I am capable of. Here, I'll switch you.
Well, Mikey, I'll tell you what I say about that. Not really that much of a surprise to me. No. The reason I say that is because the race before Ben Kelly started back on the motorcycle, he actually raced an EMTB GNCC, gave Hot Rod Charlie Mullins probably the best run for his money he's had in a while.
Which says a lot.
It does. So when I saw that, I recognized that Ben's pretty much on point, and he wasn't off a really long time. I mean, he was. Obviously, we had that 8-week break, and it didn't seem like he was off as long. But Ben's the type of kid, man. I mean, he had a great training program that had him at peak level heading into the injury. And leaders on their way, but there should be Kelly out front with the last report that I heard coming in here. But like I said, I mean, this kid, he hadn't missed a beat even through injury, still kept up his training regimen, and is on point here today. There's he is out at the 7-mile marker now. That's coming out of the John Penton section, if I'm not mistaken, if I understood Ryan earlier today when we were talking. Josh Toth back there. What was that, 4th place we just saw Toth?
I believe that was 3rd, and then Strang behind him. Early on, I missed Corey Buttrick, who was actually up into the number 2 spot early on. Looks like he's fallen off that pace a little bit. There, Grant Baylor on screen, the 3:14.
By the way, Corey Buttrick got a win here at John Penton. I think is his only win of his XC1 career, just shortly before his knee injury that has pretty much taken him out and crippled his racing career for the last several years. It's unfortunate, we get to see a glimpse of Corey every once in a while. It's almost as if somebody's, picking up the pieces and putting Corey back where he needs to be, but he just hasn't got that opportunity yet. But the thing about it is, I think Corey still has a lot to offer any manufacturer out there that wants to put the time and the money into it and expect some results eventually. I think they could get them with Corey B.
That nails it. So if you are Ben Kelly at this point, leading this early on, and we saw, the time, maybe a couple seconds between him and Caleb Russell, and when they get down to it, they're a little more than halfway through this John Penton racetrack. We'll be able to get the timing and scoring on it. May even be able to pull the Johnny Gallagher as they come through the motocross section. Pick out a spot and start counting, set the stopwatch. But we'll figure out how close that is. But they seem to have kind of, at least through mile marker 7 on screen there, sort of slowed that pace that they were running a little bit earlier. I don't know if you heard it, Rodney, but boy, they're right in the first slick section.
Yeah.
Caleb went down. Ben Kelly went way off, well, not off course, but just got tangled up, ended up tanking out, not being able to take the line he wanted. So this racetrack at Bolton was talking about, hey, man, I'm in North Carolina. I thought nothing was slicker than North Carolina. And he goes, Southeastern Ohio puts it to shame. There's nothing like this on the GNCC schedule.
And that's what I say. And I know people think that I'm just talking to hear my head rattle. It's not the case. When I say that anybody that's ever, it's a thicker, it's a heavier mud, it sticks. It's the stickiness of the mud. It's the clay in the mud. It's a different kind of clay than what you get in most places around the nation. And this clay, it sticks. And when it sticks, it sticks. It almost bonds with whatever it is that it sticks to, because it'll leave color on plastics, on metals, or whatever. It takes a lot to get it out.
It reminds me a lot of peanut butter, to be honest.
That's exactly what Landon Wolf said yesterday.
What peanut butter, brownie batter? This is definitely a peanut butter. Now there's the historic mulch pile, which if you've watched any John Penton GNCCs in years past, that seems like a section that don't get too used to how you ride through it in lap number 1. It seems to change.
It changes
completely lap to lap.
And then it's going to be different the next year also.
Yeah.
It is a big pile of wood chips that was placed out there nearly 20 years ago. 15 or so years ago. They got it for the motocross track and was going to use it, and then they shortly after they got the mulch pile, they really quit running races here on a regular basis. So they just pretty much left that there for the GNCC as an obstacle. And Landon Wolf was stating yesterday, you know, the mulch pile, they must be taking some of it away. It seems to be shrinking. And I said,
it did look that way when I rode by it.
It does look that way, but it's all decomposition. It's all wood chips that have rotted away, and it's just turned into that black, loamy soil is what it's turning into. It's really it's a very fertile part of the racetrack now, actually. If you're watching here, just checking in, this right here is coming off of the start. This is kind of like how the second and third turns. So these riders are nearing the completion of this lap now. As we said, it is Ben Kelly out front, Caleb Russell running in the number 2 spot as we kick things off here. One other thing that I wanted to point out before these riders get to the finish line, talking with Ryan Eccles, Ryan was telling me that he thought that there was a good possibility with the addition of the John Penton section and as slow as it's going to be that we would likely see an XC2 rider on a just overall lead at the end of lap number 1. We'll see if that's the case. Kelly makes his way through the pro pit section now. The VP Fuels Pro row. This time around, -4. Caleb Russell's what they're telling him there on the pit board. Is there 16 GM pits now. And you can see both riders in the same shot, not just a few yards separating the two, but this is a comfortable zone that Caleb Russell races here. But that was a nice choice of lines there. But the one thing to point out is that Caleb is not going to want to let Ben Kelly get too far out, just like anybody else. They don't want to lose touch with those riders up front. Caleb is a rider that typically can probably bridge gaps easier when there's nobody seen in front of them than what most people can. But even on a day like today, early on, if he loses sight with him, that might be a mental game that starts to weigh heavier on Caleb Russell. As we welcome to the booth one Johnny Gallagher, the second Johnny G. We have a Johnny G on the T-shirt. It's a different Johnny G, Johnny Garrour on the T-shirt, but this is Johnny Gallagher. Johnny, how's things going? Good to have you back here with us on Racer TV.
Yeah, great to be back here. Great day of racing unfolding here in front of us, and you know, it's been an exciting weekend so far. I think none of these races have disappointed. The 4 that we've already had, 5 actually, if you, and then when you count the micros through all the races we've had through this weekend so far, and exciting action already here this afternoon with Ben Kelly leading the way. Obviously, as I'm sure it's been talked about. We talked about it just 2 weeks ago. Ben Kelly coming back from a shoulder injury, very serious shoulder injury that required surgery. Spent a lot of time on the couch there, and to come back and get on the podium last round, now leading the way in this one. Couldn't really start it off any stronger than that.
Right now, Russell about 4.4 seconds back, 6.8 seconds behind him. Josh Strang in third. Jordan Ashburn in the 4th place position, 10 seconds off of the pace of Josh Strang. And how about this? Grant Baylor starts in a top 5 position today. This could, if this doesn't excite you, if you're a Grant Baylor fan, nothing's going to, because normally he starts out in about 9th place on the first lap and has to work his way up. He is in 5th place right now, 13. Call it 19-20. He's only 25 seconds out of the lead at the end of the first lap, and that's saying a lot about Grant Baylor on it.
Well, I think that says a lot about Grant Baylor, and it also says a lot about this track. As you mentioned, Ryan Eccles said likely we would see an XC2 rider in the lead after that long John Penton section. And the way this track is shaping up with sections that they put in for these guys that have not been run throughout this entire weekend, and even some sections that weren't run this morning that were run yesterday, I kind of expected the pace up front to be very slow the first lap, and that's kind of how it looks to be playing out. Nobody looking to sprint, nobody looking to try and get away. It's just kind of, hey man, this track's got some sketchy stuff, don't want to make a wrong turn, don't want to end up on my face, so we're going to just take it easy here this first lap, put the rubber to the road, and I think what we're going to see either this next lap or maybe on the third lap, if we're going to see a breakaway, it's going to happen a little bit later in this one.
Well, Craig DeLong turning a 32:31 lap time that time around. Your leader, Ben Kelly, had a 32:08. That does put Craig DeLong in 5th place overall. Though they're not leading, they are very deep in the XC1 class right now here on this first lap of racing. Jonathan Johnson from Landham, South Carolina, Phoenix Honda Racing rider, back in the number 2 spot. of the class. He is 6th place overall. That drops Grant Baylor off to a 7th place position in the overall time adjustments. Cody Barnes 3rd in the XC2 250 Pro class right now, checking in 8th overall. See Dante Oliveira, the number 356. He's 9th overall right now out of Hollister, California. In the pro class, I believe that would pit him in the 6th place position. And Corey Buttrick, 7th in class. He is currently running in the 10th place overall spot.
You know, Dante Oliveira, this is a rider. We talked about him a little bit last race, but this is a guy that could turn some heads here. This is a rider that from a club team, which anybody who doesn't really follow the ISDE structure, you have your hand-chosen, hand-picked teams by the country, which is the trophy and the junior trophy team. Dante's younger. He's more than young enough to be on the junior team. In fact, I believe he's still in his teens. I don't know if he's 20 years old yet. That being said, last year in Portugal, he was actually winning all tests, beating out all of the trophy team riders from around the world. I think it was 1 or 2 tests. He was the overall winner. Now, there's a lot of factors there. Tests shape up as the day goes on. He was much further back. But that being said, this kid has some raw speed that is not often seen. Last race was his first GNCC ever, I do believe, in that XC1 class. Starting there, you know, had a decent ride going. I don't know what his end result ended up being. But as he kind of gets his legs under him here, he is a rider that we could see, you know, a West Coast rider come in and really shake things up a little bit. Yeah, and, you know, that's something that we've been kind of itching for, I think. You know, we've had a few West Coasters come in, like Jason Raines and a handful of others, but never anyone that's an extreme kind of like works or desert type racer like what Dante is out there that likes those high speeds and things like that. So this is a good fit for him, and I think you're right, Johnny. I have to agree with you that he could be a force to be reckoned with, and he could be one of the riders that do come in and open some eyes up with the speed from the West Coast. Yeah, I mean, Taylor Robert obviously having won overall individual ISD, the individual overall, and has been twice been on the team that the American team that won the overall as a team. You know, this is a rider that is kind of the class of the field out west everywhere he goes. And Dante's actually been beating him or running very close to him at quite a few of the races out there, and that says a lot. You know, Taylor's done a few GNCCs here and there, never had a whole lot of success, but it's a completely different type of racing. For Dante to come 2 races in a row, perhaps it's just because things are kind of still on a break on the West Coast, but maybe he's trying his hand out here to see, you know, hey, I'd like to come try this out on a more permanent basis. Well, how would that be to see more of those West Coasters and see Taylor Robert maybe start hitting it on a more consistent basis, maybe even make this his series in the future? Speaking of the factory KTM team, we may have a battle for the lead between these two guys. That's not 4 seconds, that's about 4 inches. Yeah. These guys are wheel to wheel, and Josh Strang lurking back there in that 3rd place spot. This is that Monster Energy Mile, and this is a very, very technical section. I don't know if we'll have a camera shot here of the hill climb coming up, but it's another, here it comes. This is it right here. Oh, we just seen the pass for the lead. Caleb Russell regains the lead.
Look, to me, that was Ben Kelly saying, I want to see how Caleb takes this. You go first, buddy. Let's see how you do. I'll ride behind you and watch you through this, Penton, for a little bit. Yep, and there's your 4th and 5th place riders right there. Jordan Ashburn, Grant Baylor. But I'll tell you what, these guys are making this look deceivingly easy. These guys are way out and around on the long line. Yeah, you guys on the ATVs yesterday, except for Adam McGill, was hitting the hard line. Adam had a good day yesterday. He started out horribly and was able to pull all the way up to 6th place. And that brings me to this next question, Johnny. Is this a track that riders can make up time on today? Yeah, it is, but it comes at a price. That was Dante Oliveira that just went on screen there. There's our XC2 leaders, and now we're at the FMF PowerPoint. Caleb Russell starting to pull away just a few bike lengths from Ben Kelly. I think this is a type of track where once you kind of get to learn the grip of it, it's an unpredictable racing surface. This clay, I've talked with some of the bike guys yesterday and even on Friday. We notice it on the ATVs, but it's far more dramatic on 2 wheels, obviously. This dirt here is like nowhere else on planet Earth. And the funny thing is, Levi Cohen, who lives literally you can't even measure it in miles, lives about 500 feet from the entrance to this place, says the dirt at his house is nothing like here. Really? And I've ridden at his house, and he's not lying. So this dirt here at the John Penton is something like you don't see anywhere else. It's got this almost Play-Doh-like texture when it has just the right amount of moisture, and it becomes super grippy, and it sticks to everything. But if you put just the slightest amount of pressure in it, it becomes like ice.
It's the oddest thing you've ever seen. So, point being, it's a very unpredictable race surface, which lends itself to, if someone can find the right grip, find the right throttle control, they can make up some serious time very quickly.
There is your leader in the XC2 Pro class. I believe that was Craig DeLong making his way up the hill climb there, and I really started to go into something elaborate there and say that was all by design, that they brought some chemicals in 30 years ago to put in this oil. But no, yeah, I don't know how that works from, and like you said, literally 500 feet. I don't think the property lines are probably closer than that whenever you look at the reality of it. But yeah, just a strange place. But I'll tell you, it has offered up some of the greatest GNCC races. I mean, from conditions to just the all-out battles that this racetrack has thrown at us over the years.
Yeah, we've raced here, obviously once a year since, I don't know, was our first year 1990 or 91?
Yep, 90.
So we've been racing, I guess, 31 years would be this year, or 30?
Yep, 31.
There's Johnny Gerard. Already has a shroud ripped off of that Trail Jesters KTM, so he's made contact with something. I'm going to go on a limb and say that was in the John Penton section. Mike Wachowski, the 282. On the AM Pro Racing Yamaha, right behind him, there was Jonathan Johnson, Liam Draper. So aside from Craig DeLong, it looked like all of those guys were right together. DeLong maybe starting to pull out just a little bit of a gap.
Was that Wachowski right on the rear wheel?
Wachowski was right on the rear wheel of Jonathan Draper.
It looked like he was about ready to make the pass as they went out of camera sight a second ago, Johnny. I don't know that or not, but man, Michael was really putting some pressure on there, it looked like.
Yeah, they were together on the moto track when we saw him here, and they were swapping paint. So I think both of those guys, those are two of the 3 or 4 guys that are right in the thick of this championship battle right now.
Yeah, and they opened it up. Jonathan was in 5th place, Mike Wachowski in 6th, Liam Draper in 7th, Ryder Lafferty in the 8th place position. Those are riders in the last couple of races we've seen duking it out for podium positions out there. Also the 407 of Ben Nelko, the motocross supercross guy. Ooh, what we got here?
Oh, this is the other Oliveri brother. Dante is the older one, and
Matteo.
Matteo, probably.
Matteo, yeah, Matteo.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Matteo Oliveria. This is Dante's younger brother. So he's struggling a little bit there with that hill climb. That's a gnarly section. That's not a good place to be on the low side of your dirt bike. So he's going to have to regroup, push that machine back down, and get another run up. Oh, they got it for him. But you can see, this is really shows you just how steep that is. I mean, that's nearly vertical.
Yeah, I don't think that you could even tell that until right here, right now, how steep that is. I didn't realize it. And I've been around this place a lot, and I didn't recognize it as that steep. But, yeah, that's pretty impressive what these riders are able to accomplish out here. And how did he get so far over is my question. Was he trying an alternate line? Or
I think he probably just lost the front end and pushed over into that line, and once he lost rear end traction, he was down.
But back to what I was saying before, interesting, we've got Garrar, we've got Wachowski, we got Draper, and we got Lafferty back there in that 5th, 6th, and 7th and 8th place positions. We see Ben Nelko. I had the opportunity to make acquaintance with Ben last evening. First time I had a chance to talk with him, other than that, probably at a moto or supercross race in years past, or a moto race at least in his youth. But yeah, making the switch over, it was really neat talking with him last night. We're going to get him on the 10 Seconds XE Off-Road Cast coming up here real soon. But he said, man, I love this. This is great. He said, I never dreamed that I would like off-road the way I like it, and GNCC is the best racing I've ever done.
Yeah, I talked with his mechanic and a guy that helps him out a bit. Did we miss Caleb Russell? I was looking down. I was untwisting my
I think so.
headset. Okay, so Caleb Russell still leading the way. Ben Kelly in 2nd. So our top 3 are through at this shot. This is coming just on the other side of the Monster Mile. Here's your 4th place rider, Jordan Ashburn. 5th place, Grant Baylor. Still there pretty much wheel to wheel. So, yeah, it's interesting to see a guy come from, the moto world like Ben Nelko, and he's been getting progressively better, getting his feet under him. It's a big change. So it's cool to see him out here, and actually I know one of the hands, who's this? This is, Corey Buttrick. There's a local product right there, Rodney. You've been saying that young man's name for
long time.
Probably close to 30 years now.
Yeah,
there
exactly.
Is Dante Oliveira. It looks like Corey has actually gotten around Dante there. There's your XC2 leader, Craig DeLong, leading the way. You can see those towels tucked in his waistband.
When I first started announcing Johnny Gallagher back in '94, I think it was, Corey, if I'm not mistaken, was riding on a 50, maybe a 60.
Yeah, That's wild. Yeah, he was probably winning back then as well.
Yeah, he was.
Along with D.R. Atwood and all those guys.
Yeah, they used to hit the Ohio County Fairs Motocross Championship, which was huge here in District 11 for so many years. But Corey was, he was one of the fastest guys out there. It was tough to beat on the moto track as a little kid.
Yeah, and they're had a great career, or still does have a great career in GNCC racing. He's kind of racing on a limited basis this year, as things have changed for him. I think he may be working for his dad's body shop. They're in town body shop, as a matter of fact, because it's in town.
It's in town. It's like in town, like right out. I mean, you get off 13, it's right there in town. Right
so he's a local product and coming out here visiting, and I mean, running with the best racers in the world. He's still got it. If anybody's got a factory spot available and they need somebody to fill it, Corey Butcher could be your guy. Here is Ryder Lafferty, a little bit further back here today, and I had actually a conversation with him yesterday, and he said this is a place he's always struggled with. Only been here a few times, but he said, man, the dirt here, as we were talking about, he said it just confuses me. He said I don't quite know what to do. I feel like I'm going too fast, but at the same time I'm not going fast enough. He said, and then when I try to go fast, I'm laying on the ground. He said, here is Ben Nelko, Rodney.
There he is. And as I was saying, here's another interesting thing that Ben told me. He said, I have received more support since transferring to GNCC than I ever had in motocross or supercross. He says you'd be surprised how much better off the off-road guys have it than the moto guys. I was really shocked and surprised by that.
Yeah, it's tough. I think in the off-road, it's all relative, I suppose. The top supercross and motocross guys obviously are doing very, very, very well. But the guys that are not making the show, that are not making the mains, the support drops off pretty quickly. So, Ben here has shown some promise, and I think some people are willing to take a chance and say, hey, this kid might have what it takes to someday run up front in XC2 or maybe even someday XC1.
Yeah.
So
I think we're going to see a lot more of him. Well, we got some our XC3 riders. That's somebody that we really haven't checked in a lot with so far, and that's been a pretty exciting championship that's been breaking up between those riders. I know that Jason Raines has been a big thorn in the side of a lot of these riders out here, but he hasn't won every race this year. But Zach Hayes and Nathan Ferderer, those two are the riders that are battling for the points lead right now, and they got a little bit of a lead over Jason Raines. So right now, the way I'm looking at it here at the halfway point, the championship battle is between the 722 and the 651 as we open things up here and wait on these riders to check in at their FMF PowerPoint. The 722 of Hayes out of Sumter, South Carolina, had a 22-second lead over Jason Lipscomb. Mike DeLosa, the 222 out of Gillette, PA, was running in third place. 707 Lipscomb in second place. 222 Mike DeLosa in third. Jake Froman, the 862 in fourth. Jason Raines, the 190 in fifth. And Nathan Ferderer, the 651, back in the sixth place position. Gaps, all six riders within a minute, about 40 seconds of each other, as a matter of fact. So the class not real spread out there at the end of lap number one. Again, I think, like you said, pointing out the John Penton section, probably keeping things pretty tight out there.
I tell you what, keep an eye on that Jason Lipscomb. I was watching him last weekend at the WEX race. There is Zach Hayes, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, that's a little 125 pipe. No number on the back, but that's the 722 of Zach Hayes right there leading the way. Up out of sight there at 47.44. So 22 seconds back was the 707 of Lipscomb. Wouldn't be surprised. That's him right there.
Yeah, that's
the second rider. That right there is Jason Lipscomb right there. So he's got it down to about 14 seconds, 15 seconds. So that's a pretty substantial amount of time to make up in just a few miles. Jason Lipscomb, watching him last weekend at the Wexler, conditions very similar to this. He just plugged his way on that little 125 up through the pro class and was up in there battling very close to lead by the end of the race.
Well, Ben Kelly continues to lead the XC1 class and this overall as there's more of our XC3 riders.
Jason Raines there. So those guys still coming through and still battling.
So Ben Kelly was leading, I guess I should say. That's right. We saw Caleb Russell make the pass there just a few moments ago and regain the lead. Ben Kelly running back in the number 2 spot. Josh Strang, Jordan Ashburn, Craig DeLong all battling it out right now for the final podium spot. DeLong doing it on time adjustment right now as he continues to lead the XC2 250 Pro class. Yep, so we're going to be heading to a commercial break. We're going to find out whether or not Ben Kelly can regain the lead back away from Caleb Russell, whether he's going to take the win here at the family farm. Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
When you crave the canyon passes, rocky trails, rutted tracks, the podiums and personal records, it becomes part of you. The choice now is, do you become a wanderer or the wanderer? You just need to ride where you belong.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association, racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
Yamaha GNCC University returns, calling all ATV and motorcycle off-road racers. Are you looking to hone your riding and racing skills? Want to learn hands-on with the best of the best past and current GNCC racers and champions? Then sign up for the 2020 Yamaha GNCC University, returning to Snowshoe Mountain Resort September 23rd through the 25th. We're bringing together Yamaha's ATV and motorcycle racing elites to instruct in-depth courses on fundamentals of racing and riding. During the Yamaha GNCC University, students will participate in lectures about sportsmanship, training, proper nutrition, and mental preparation, along with hands-on skills and drills designed to improve your riding and confidence in a variety of terrain and situations. Reservations are on a first-come, first-served basis with limited openings, evenly split between the disciplines. For more details and to register, call Snowshoe Mountain Resort at 877-441-4386. We look forward to seeing you at the top of Snowshoe Mountain, then on top of the podium.
This is RacerTV Fast Brass, and I'm your host, Ryan Amancio. I just finished up racing John Penton right now. We're going to go interview Colton McQuarrie, number 34 on the 65 Yamaha. So let's go see if we can find him. Where is Colton? He is down there. That track, if you couldn't find your flow, you couldn't go. It was more of it's either you do good or you don't. It's not that kind of or kind of not. What's up, Kiefer? How'd you do? Fourth? Who got third? Oh. Colton! Colton! How'd you do? Hi. First, there you go. Want to get off the bike? What were your opinions on the track? Did you like it? Did you not? How'd you feel?
I felt like I felt that it was a really nice track. I felt good.
So how about lappers? Did lappers mess you up a bit or what?
Not really. It was just hard. Sometimes they get a little bit squirrely and then you can't really get by them, but it was definitely a good track again.
Did you crash? Did you get stuck or anything?
No, I crashed once on the hard clay. It was not really a crash. It was just like a slide out. My front tire washed out from under me. It was definitely slick.
So here's the main question that I like to ask everyone. What makes you motivated to ride? Like, how did you start riding? Did you watch it from TV? Was it your dad? Like, who motivated you to start riding?
It was my dad, and then I started off on the PW50 at 2, and then I kept working my way up. It's just an awesome sport.
What do you like most about the sport?
It's fast, and it's challenging.
Well, that's good. So what do you do at home when you're not racing?
I ride, learn from my dad, practice like staying in one spot on my e-bike to get my balance better, and ride my pit bike so I can learn like different, like how to jump and stuff, and I do a lot at home when I'm not racing.
Well, that's good. Well, I see you have 2 dogs over there.
Yep.
What type of dogs and what type of dog are they, and what's their names?
The black and this one's that one's Clutch and that one's Rhodey. Clutch is a German Shepherd and Rhodey's like a mix of a pit bull and I don't know what else.
Where'd you get Rhodey?
We found her on the road. That's why her name's Rhodey, and I got Clutch for an early birthday present.
So, these dogs are really soft, especially Clutch. And Rhodey, she's
more soft.
Yeah, her hair is really small. Wow, I can't believe she's 14. Is she 14 in human years or dog years?
Human years.
Human. How about in dog's year? Do you know?
I don't know, but I would guess like 100,000 years old.
Thank you for watching Fast Brass on RacerTV. I'll catch you guys at the next race.
100,000-year-old dog.
Tell you what, though, Rhodey is 98 years old in dog years if she's 14. So
wow.
That's impressive. She's lived a good life and hopefully many more years ahead of her.
Wow. Rhodey and Clutch. I like that. That's pretty cool. Well, as we pick the action back up here, welcome back to the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. We are right now watching in the FMF KTM pits. I don't know what's going to be going on there. We've got 1 lap in the history books, working on lap number 2. We're nearing an hour complete. We're about 6 minutes out. And there went Caleb Russell just a moment ago.
I believe, is this our John Penton section here?
It's probably coming right out. Okay, so
yeah, so there we go. That was Ben Kelly there in the number 2 spot.
Yeah, that's opened up quite a bit.
Yeah, Josh Strang still there hanging tough in 3rd. Those gaps are just a little bit bigger than we last saw those guys on camera. So, you know, like we said, as the that says it's a 7-mile marker there.
Yeah. But you add 2.5 miles. Yeah, 2.5 miles in the John Penton section.
Okay, so they've already come out of the Penton.
Yeah, that's the exit. That's
So-
about a half mile before that's where they come out.
Grant Baylor has gotten around Jordan Ashburn, so that's a change there. So Baylor now up to that 4th place spot. So there you go, Rodney. Your Grizzly Grant is starting his charge early. We're only not even an hour into this thing yet, and Grizzly Grant's already hunting a podium.
Well, I tell you what, people have been riding him pretty hard. I've had a chance to talk with Grant a couple of different times, and not necessarily Grant telling me this, but the people around him talking about how people have been riding him and telling him, you need to get up to speed a little quicker and da-da-da-da-da-da. So I think Grant is kind of maybe trying to approach things a little bit differently now. He's getting that confidence he needs. And I know in talking with him on Friday, he said, I really would like to win here this week. And he says, I've got one win, and it came from here, but he says it wasn't a real win. He says I won it by default because of penalties imposed by, I think, by Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell that day. But regardless, he ended up finishing, getting the overall, but he says it never really felt like a real win.
There's your splits right there. The radios are calling in 12 seconds back to Ben Kelly, 19 seconds back to Strang. That's what Caleb Russell's going to see on his pit board. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Grant Baylor's only win to this point coming here in this property, that's always special. But I know from talking with Grant, exactly like you just said, he's always kind of held that one as a, hey, happy to have it. There's Corey Buttrick, local product. But at the same time, he wants to cross that finish line and pump his fist in the air, knowing, out and out, no asterisk, again, he earned that win, but he wants to be the first one across the finish line.
And I think this season, even on his off days, I think that he's given us every indication of that. I mean, what we've seen out of Grant Baylor, not that he hasn't tried in years past, but this seems to be a newer, different Grant Baylor, in my opinion. There's something different about Grant that seems to be a little more aggressive, a little more focused, and a little more in tune with what he wants.
Aggressive right now is what Caleb Russell is out front, coming into that mulch pile. I heard you talking about it. That mulch pile has just kind of become a thing here after so many years. He's out there, he's on the hammer, and he's trying to stretch that lead out. 12 seconds is what the pit board said. We'll see when they check into scoring here in just a few moments. He's trying to stretch that gap out. Caleb Russell didn't expect to see him really try to run this early in the race, but he must have felt something or had an opportunity.
Well, I think combination of both there. I think he obviously felt something coming in there from Ben Kelly, and the one thing that you got to remember, we've talked about it, and we see it as spectators here and fans of the sport, what the likelihood of Ben Kelly is to be one of the next best and greatest things that GNCC has to offer. I think that Caleb recognizes that as well. He sees it, he feels it under pressure on the racetrack. So I think that Caleb's like, I can't let this kid get this edge on me right now. I've got to at least keep him in his place until this final championship's wrapped up.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the case. I mean, when in some cases your most amount of pressure is coming from your much younger teammate, but I think Caleb and Ben work pretty well together. They seem to kind of each know their role within the team. Right now, Caleb is that team leader, but at the same time, there's no team orders. I mean, if Ben Kelly can go out and win a race, they're going to cheer him on and push him all along the way. And afterwards, Caleb Russell, I'm sure, would be one of the first people to congratulate him with a little bit of grain of salt.
Just a little bit, but he'd do it with a grit in his teeth. But he would smile and he would be satisfied and happy for him. But I know that he'll be more happy if he comes away with the win on this one. They come out of the auxiliary pro pit section now, heading up into the pro pit area of this racetrack, heading by the pit stop, and it looks like no pit stops this time around, so that's only the second lap complete. Now we're into this race, and we've been accustomed the last couple of races having a little shorter lap time, so we get to see them a little bit more often. But today we're back to the longer lap times. This the first lap time was 32 minutes, so we're expecting it to be nearly the same as the start. Really not that far from the finish whenever you look at it in the grand scheme of things. I got surprised yesterday. I was expecting a couple extra minutes. You guys turned nearly identical lap times on lap 1 as you did lap 2.
Yeah, I know. Actually, watching the 10 a.m. race this morning, they actually turned a faster lap on the second lap than they did on lap 1 because the track conditions came around. They were up like 40 seconds faster, I think, is what I was looking at. The specific riders I was looking at anyway. Caleb Russell out on the moto track, past that Rocky Mountain ATV MC banner, and just a few more turns until he'll check in with lap number 2 complete. In the background there, we can see Ben Kelly now working his way through. We're kind of jumping back and forth here. It's hard to tell the difference there, folks. That there is That one's Ben Kelly. The other one was Caleb Russell. Same gear, same bike. The only way you can tell is if you catch a side plate or if you recognize their riding styles. There is Josh Strang. Man, we've talked so much about Josh Strang this season, Rodney, but can we really say enough? I mean, this guy is he has been just, better and better and better every time he hits the racetrack. Oh, look, Rodney, Jordan Ashburn back around Grant Baylor.
Oh, wow.
So that battle is not over. Grant relinquishing that 4th place spot, and they are looking over and seeing Caleb Russell and Ben Kelly going the other way off the moto track. Again, Josh Strang on screen there, coming in, making those turns after he has checked in that 3rd place complete. And I believe you got some splits for us, Rodney.
Yeah, 15 seconds now between 1st and 2nd place. Caleb Russell and Ben Kelly, a 31:45 lap time there for Russell. Ben Kelly turning at 32:05, so 20 seconds off the pace. So Caleb had 5 seconds behind Ben last lap, and now he's 15 seconds ahead, turning the 22nd faster lap. Josh Strang checking in. It says here 4.5 seconds, 4.5 seconds was the deficit at the finish line. Jordan Ashburn 20 seconds back in the number 4 spot. Grant Baylor only 1.2 seconds back, and I think if we measure that visually out there, it seems so much tighter than a 1.2 second battle between Ashburn and Baylor for that number 4 spot right now. Should be seeing Dante Oliveira checking in here soon. That gap was only 6 seconds back to the number 356 at the end of lap number 1. We can see now that things are starting to open up a little bit as this John Penton race course has certainly offered a lot of obstacles for our riders out here.
Actually, our XC2s have checked in. If we switch and take a look at that, I believe our top 3 have checked in there in that XC2 class. Craig DeLong still leading the way on the 342 Rockstar Husqvarna. Our 2nd place rider has also checked in there, or is about to if he has not already.
Well, let's see. Yes, no.
Jonathan Johnson.
No, not yet.
Oh, he's got to be any second.
There he is. Now he has. So Jonathan Johnson has checked in. Here's what we got. I was doing some split times and deficits here. Craig DeLong into the 4th place overall. If you look at time adjustments right now, how far off the pace is he out of 1st place right now? 1 hour, 3 minutes and 58 seconds to 1 hour, 4 minutes and 36 seconds. So what, 38 seconds, I think, is what we could say. Less than 40 seconds is Craig DeLong from moving into a possible position to challenge for the overall adjusted time lead.
Well, within that XC2 class that Craig DeLong is leading, as you mentioned, battling potentially for an overall podium position, we've had a little bit of a shakeup there. Actually, our 3rd place rider, Cody Barnes, has really closed up on the back of the 2nd place ride of Jonathan Johnson. So those two have kind of been trading each other back and forth. Now it is really tight between them, and Mike Wachowski's been the big mover. He's made a bunch of passes and is now up into that 4th place spot and is rapidly closing on 2nd and 3rd. I think by the end of this lap, we'll see Mike Wachowski up in that battle for the 2nd place position, along with Jonathan Johnson and Cody Barnes. But still, Cody Barnes on the on that factory beta machine, a rider that we've been expecting big things out of. Could today be the day that he finally puts that thing on the box?
No, I'm not sure. Looking at lap times right now, I know Mike is caught back there with some other riders and everything, but lap times, Cody Barnes, he's about 16 seconds. Oh, no, wait a minute. Mike, he's the rider we're looking at,
yep.
Right? Mike Wachowski is about 16 seconds back behind Cody Barnes right now. So with that being said, lap time 32:50. No, that was 32:36 to a 32:33. They're turning nearly identical lap times right now. So in order for that to happen, and I know as well as you do, Mike Wachowski is more than capable of it. We've seen him in some battles out there on the last lap of racing with a little free and clear racetrack. You're right. I think we might see that gap close up. That 16-second gap could be a lot tighter than that the next time we check in with these guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually be surprised if we have an opportunity to see these guys midway through and we do see the XC2s come through. I'm going to tell you, by the end of this lap, I really do believe Mike Wachowski will be up in that battle with Jonathan Johnson and also with Cody Barnes.
Yeah.
He's on the hammer. He's chasing a championship. He's got that extra motivation. This is round 7. This is where we start to see the rubber meet the road. We start to see, things really start to shape themselves up for the championship. And with his main championship rival, one of his main championship rivals, Craig DeLong, out front, he's not going to want to let him get away and just collect those 30 points for the win. He's going to want to fight him for it.
Yeah, and so, again, just an hour into this race, there's so much that can happen over the course of a 3-hour period. 2 laps in, technically an hour and 8 minutes, working on an hour and 9 minutes of a near 3-hour race is what we'll be looking for. And with that said, there's still a lot to go on here. I mean, the XC2 riders that we're talking about, they could get up to speed like we were looking at, battling for that podium spot. Mike McCown, and there is Caleb Russell now as we check in with him heading into that monster mile, that really rocky section. And I was talking with somebody earlier today. They were talking about going and making a whole new suspension setup, this, that, and the other. I know there's some rocks and things out there. Josh Strang up to the number 2 spot as he's gotten around Ben Kelly. I don't know where that would have happened, but wow, it happened.
Yeah, he was. You can see Ben Kelly has a broken boot buckle there, so possibly went down. But with that gap of only 4 seconds, that could just be a function of Josh realizing Caleb starting to get away and saying, nah, I'm gonna put in a push here and see if I can reel him back in, because that's tough to try and make up the time late in these races. He'd much rather just kind of latch onto the rear wheel of Caleb Russell if he can get up there and do it. Looks like Ben Kelly kind of trying to get a tow. Grant Baylor now. Don't know if we saw Jordan Ashburn go through there. Oh no, there is Baylor.
Yeah.
So Baylor back around Ashburn, it appears, and now back up into that 4th place spot and maybe starting to make a little bit of time on the top 3.
I'm telling you, I'm not going to call him necessarily for the win, but I'm going to call him for some excitement today. How about that?
Here's some excitement right here. Caleb Russell on screen. This is a great section of track right here in the FMF PowerPoint where these riders can take a look. This section kind of turns back. There's so many turns in a row here, and at the end you have an opportunity to look back through the whole section, and you can see just how far 2nd place is behind you. If Caleb Russell looks back, he's not going to see anybody. So he knows he's got at least that 12 or 15 second gap that it takes to get through that section.
Well, I tell you, Caleb went through that section so much nicer. Like you said earlier, talking about
Josh Toth is down,
getting some acclimation to the course conditions and the track itself. Man, Caleb's really going through. Say, Toth went down?
Toth down there in the entrance to the Monster Mile. That's a really slick rock those guys turn in on. And man, it's like trying to turn a dirt bike on ice.
Now, we see those rocks. I mean, if you look at the racetrack, how much of the racetrack are those big protruding rocks like what we see in that section right there? Are there a lot of those out there?
No, that's really the only section on the whole track that is like that. Josh Strang starting to pull away from Ben Kelly just a little bit. Josh had a really good line down that hill. He was able to square the whole thing up. Ben was going out and around. That was probably 1 or 2 seconds right there, and he's starting to just inch away from Ben Kelly. Ben's going to want to latch on there because he's got Grizzly Grant. I actually had an opportunity to talk to Ben Kelly. There is Jonathan Johnson. Oh, look at, we got a lap rider there coming up through. There is Jordan Ashburn coming through the FMF PowerPoint. And coming on the other side, Craig DeLong, the 342, the leader of that XC2 class on that Rockstar Energy Racing Husqvarna. Craig DeLong taking a look over his shoulder, does not see Jonathan Johnson or anyone just yet. So Josh Toth is the next rider behind him, who we just saw go down, so he's going to have a little bit of gap, but again, that's an XC1 rider, so he's not too concerned about him. He's probably just wanting to know, what's my gap, what do I got? And there he is, leading the way in XC2. Craig DeLong really starting to get stronger, it seems, as this season goes on.
Hey, one rider that I'm a little shocked by, I expected to see a little stronger today, was the brother of Craig DeLong, you see there, Andrew DeLong. I haven't really seen, I don't think Andrew's even finished the first lap of racing. I don't have him even in for 1 lap of racing, so I don't know what happened to Andrew. Andrew actually started out, I think, in a fairly decent start today as far as starts go, but did not finish lap number 1 or 2 according to timing and scoring right now.
Yeah, we'll have to check in on that if we get down to the pits there and see that Phoenix Honda rig, see if they've had an issue with the bike or perhaps maybe a transponder issue, but I would think they would have rectified that by now. Speaking of Honda, 2nd place in XC2, Jonathan Johnson on the 981 machine. This is could be a breakthrough ride for Jonathan Johnson. We saw some great things out of him in recent years, but it just hasn't really seemed to have been able to do it consistently. Today could be the day that he kind of puts himself in the fight and says, hey, I'm a guy that's going to try and win some of these races. There is Cody Barnes coming by there. And there is, oh, look at this, Johnny Gerard. Oh, there's your answer on Andrew DeLong.
Ah, there is Andrew DeLong. So it looks like something going on. Don't know if he went down and had some issues.
Yeah, they are working feverishly on that machine. Doing everything that he can do to try and get that machine running. We've got some issues here. They look to be down around the sprocket area. Don't know if maybe... Okay. He is missing the sprocket. It's hard to tell what they're working on. Oh, they're pulling the chain out. So the chain is wedged there. Oh, it was all wadded up in the front sprocket. Having to pull that out, and that chain, look at that, Rodney. I've never seen it like that. Chain is kinked, and it won't come unkinked. So they're going to have to take that off, unbroken free. That's all balled up like that and must have a bent link, and they're unable to get that machine going at this time.
Well, like you said, maybe not a lot of rocks, but it looks like he might have hit something, a rock or something that certainly jacked that chain up. Man, what a heartbreaker for him, man, because, I mean, it seems like every time it happens, just something really odd. I mean, nothing really that you could say is wrong with the bike. Nothing that you can really say is wrong with Andrew. It's just fluke things that keep happening. It's just, I guess, you know, some days you have good days. I mean, some years you have good years, and some years it's just, you know, no matter what you do, things just don't fall in place for you. I thought Mikey Wayne's going to be. Yeah, Mikey, what's going on, buddy?
No, just wanted to kind of fill you in. Andrew DeLong tucked himself into the rig here, clearly visibly frustrated, and just kind of one of those things where you stand here in the pits, you start counting the seconds as a rider, then you start counting, okay, now we're at a minute. How much further behind am I going? And now the race is slipping away from me. So without a doubt, frustration levels, rightfully so, very high right now here in the Phoenix Honda Racing pits.
Oh, I can only imagine. I know Andrew really, you know, after last year's performance coming in the new team, doing the job that he wanted to get done, the job that he was hired to do, came in and did what he wanted to do and what he's supposed to do this year. Hasn't been able to put things together at all, hardly for himself or for the team, it doesn't seem like.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate break for him. I tell you what, an unfortunate break at the last race for Grant Baylor, losing that machine, or losing the engine on that machine on the last lap. Well, he's trying to make up for it right now. He has made up quite a bit of ground on the third place rider of Ben Kelly, who's still within sight of Josh Strang in second and not all that far behind Caleb Russell. So Grant Baylor putting in one heck of a charge here just over an hour into this one.
Yeah.
Here is your fourth place rider. Now keep in mind, just a lap ago, Grant Baylor was back here with Jordan Ashburn. Maybe not quite this far back. Jordan's lost a little bit of time, but not much. But Grant Baylor is seriously on the charge.
Seriously on the charge, laying down some horsepower to the ground, no doubt about that. That's Craig DeLong, man. He's really closing up way deep into that XC1 class now.
Yeah, so he is now physically fifth on the racetrack. There is Josh Toth, the 206 machine, kind of latched onto Craig there, trying to get a tow, maybe trying to pull himself up into that battle for a podium, or at least solidify himself within the top 5. Next rider we should see should be the 981 of Jonathan Johnson, but we know that there's some riders hunting him. And I did see when they came by the FMF PowerPoint, unless I missed him, we may have lost Mike Witkowski, at least from that battle. We were expecting to see him, but it was actually Johnny Gerard who had made up a good bit of ground on Cody Barnes, unless I missed Witkowski. So we'll wait and we'll see if this camera shot stays with us long enough. We may get to see the next couple riders, and there is Jonathan Johnson, second place in that XC2 class, the 981 Phoenix Racing Honda, second place in XC2, running well within the top 10 overall. And he's going to have some company here, not in too long, because it looks like Johnny Gerard is on the hammer. But, and there he is, right on cue. Johnny Gerard up to third in that XC2 Pro Lights class. He has gotten around that rider right there, Cody Barnes. So now Barnes in fourth, Johnny Gerard up into the third place spot.
Barnes having a pretty remarkable day today in reality. There's Liam Draper tonight. It looks like Draper has worked his way up closer into the mix of things here. I know he's outside that top 5 where he wants to be and where we're used to seeing him. There's Corey Buttrick now, watching him go by on camera. But Draper looked to be kind of aggressive right there, Johnny, like he was trying to make up some time of his own.
Yeah, and I think he actually has moved up to that 5th place spot. So like you mentioned, wanting to be in that top 5. But Witkowski's the big loser on this one. He was up in there making up ground and looked like he was on the charge, but now he's lost some serious time. Now we see Mike Witkowski come by, back behind Thorne Devlin. So you would have to assume Witkowski, look, you can see he's got some paper towels on the grips there, and his side is really muddy.
Yeah.
Thinking he must have gone down, got those hands muddy, and now he's trying to fight and claw his way back to try and make up some time.
Yeah, there's paper towels again. If you're not familiar with it, you get greasy, muddy hand guards, grips. You got to clean them off, and that's the best way to make that happen. It's about the only way to make it happen during the race, really. Well, sitting here watching this FMF Power Report, Johnny, we are at nearly an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and 19 minutes into this race. Caleb Russell continuing to lead Ben Kelly, but Josh Strang on the move, and so is Craig DeLong from the XC2 Pro Class. How's this one going to pan out? Will we see an XC2 guy on the podium again today? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
It's hard to put our adventures on hold, but now is the perfect time to prepare for their return. Amsoil has your back with fast, free shipping, and ordering has never been easier. Just look up your vehicle, select your product, add an oil change to your cart, and check out. Spend $50 on Amsoil products, and shipping is on us. Order now at amsoil.com.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lieb, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association, racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs.
What's that, the
we
amateur?
become friends. We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association, racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
Well, as we all know, that amateur racers are a huge and monumental part of GNCC racing. We keep an eye on the pros in the XC1, the XC2, and XC3 classes, but the GNCC Racing Nation is made up of so much more and so many more, and of course, so many different classes, including our 258 class, where we see, or actually our 158 class, Braden Nolette, Max Fernandez, Tanner Collins, who got the whole shot in that class, running top 3, Eli Childers and Dylan Hicks. They're your top 5 after a couple laps of racing complete in that 158 class. 4-stroke A-Lights class, we see JoJo Cunningham. He started out in a 3rd place position at the end of lap number 1. He's moved himself up to the number 1 position on the number 351 Team Green Kawasaki machine. The 752 of Jace Knopf running in 2nd. Travis Raynaud out of Stafford, Missouri, running in the number 3 spot. We see Zach Nash in the Junior AB 25-plus class. David Muchisco, Ryan Slopko, Sam Forrester, and Matt Bruffy, your top 5 in that one. A lot of different riders from different states in the top 5. 5 different states, as a matter of fact. Robbie Norwood leading the Vet A30-plus class. Ohio boy Nathan Alring, the 381 in 2nd. Tom Truxell in 3rd. Joe Marsh in 4th. And Surly Amancio, the 360 out of New Milford, Connecticut, running in the number 5 spot. I think that's my buddy here's dad that's joining us, talking about Ryan Amancio. Senior A40-plus class. Smiling Frank Messina out front of this one. Joe Potter in 2nd. Shotgun Sean Remington, who got the whole shot in 3rd. Todd Thompson and Jared Feller rounding out 4th and 5th place positions. Smiling Frank and Shotgun Sean, those two really going at it this season. The Open B bike class, Brandon Gearing out of my hometown of Jackson, Ohio, leading this one aboard the number 412 with Dominic Jarvis in the number 2 spot, Greg Tenney in the number 3 spot, Junior Smith in 4th, and Alan Blavos rounds out your top 5 as we look at the 250B class. Ezra Prine leading Parker Todd. Prine pretty much leading this one from the drop of the green flag. James Larson back in the number 3 spot. John McGee in the 4th place position. And it's Wyatt Schumann rounding out the top 5 in this 250B class. Cooper Jones in the 150B class on the 800 machine, leading Lightning Lucas Grounds. Traditionally used to see Lightning get the whole shot. Didn't get it today, but he's up to 2nd now. Up the 855, Nathan Delaney in 3rd. Joshua Kluchek in 4th. And Blake Kohler rounding out the top 5 in that 150B class. 4-stroke B lights class, Blaiston Moore from right here in Athens County, leading Colby Dunham out of West Virginia with Miles Gefkin in 3rd, Austin Hovatter in 4th, and TJ Fine rounding out the top 5 of the 4-stroke B. Vet B class, Jimmy Johnson leading Jeremiah Taylor, Joshua Webb in the number 3 spot, Corey Tolliver in 4th, and Benjamin Kelly rounds out your top 5 in the Vet B 30-plus class. Looking at some more of these amateur classes today as we roll. Mike Horwat, Gene Swidwa running 1 and 2 in the senior B40-plus class. Robert Bates in 3rd, Chad Miller in 4th. It's Brent Belsole rounding out the top 5. Brent Maynard got the whole shot in that, currently running in the number 6 spot of the senior B class. And your XC1 Pro class, again, Caleb Russell leading Ben Kelly, Josh Strang in the number 3 spot. Put the charge on Kelly right now. Jordan Ashburn in 4th with Grant Baylor in the number 5 spot. I think we've seen a switch in that. Grant Baylor up to 4th, Jordan Ashburn now back in the number 5 position. And Josh Strang, I think, in 2nd now. XC2 250 Pro, Craig DeLong, Jonathan Johnson, Cody Barnes, Mike Witkowski, Jonathan Garrar, and even some changes in that one as Witkowski finds himself a few positions back, and Liam Draper from back in 6th trying to make up some ground right now as well. And that FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class, Zach Hayes still leading this one. DeLosa in 2nd, Jason Raines in 3rd, Froman in 4th, Nathan Ferderer still back in that number 5 position. Hayes and Ferderer, again, are the riders right now currently battling for the championship in that class. As we move to the Open A class, Tyler Braniff leading Chase Hayes. Nathan Rector in the number 3 spot, Brady Myers in 4th, and Dylan Dela Cruz rounding out the top 5 of the Open A class here at the Whitesco John Penton GNCC. And that's our amateur rundown here at the Whitesco John Penton GNCCs. We're joined in booth now with, myself, Rodney Tomlin, and Ryan Amancio. And Ryan, your dad out there, Surly, right?
Yes, sir.
And he's running in 5th place, huh?
Yeah, that's actually his best so far, so hopefully he'll keep it that way.
All right, so maybe you being in the booth might help slingshot him up to a top 5 ride. So that's the best finish your dad's had this year so far?
Yeah, well, he has got 3rd at the general, the first general.
Yeah.
But
things have not been as easy lately, huh?
Yeah, he's been struggling a lot, but Hopefully he'll do better this one.
Well, Ryan Amoncio, if you were watching earlier, you might recognize him as our GNCC Brats reporter. And good day so far and a good weekend here for you, I guess, Ryan?
Yeah, my class I did get second, but it's still okay. I'm fine with that.
You like winning, don't you?
I love it.
Nothing wrong with liking to win. It gives you that incentive each and every week. As we pick the action up here on the racetrack, we are about an hour and 28, working on 29 minutes into this one. So near the halfway point, I guess you could say, as far as this race is concerned. And, you know, it's been not a lot of things happen. There have been a few things that have taken place, but nothing big, nothing really super monumental, as you can see. Wow.
Oh, is that my dad?
I don't know. Is that your dad?
That's my dad, I think. Yeah, that's my dad.
That's Surly Amoncio having problems.
No. Come on, Dad. Oh, boy.
This is not often that you get to do something like this, but the good thing about it is he's getting plenty of help out there, it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you get to really give him a hard time about this one, huh?
Oh, yeah. Look at that spinning tire. It's slick out there. Wow.
It is, and I know it was slick for you guys first thing this morning, huh?
It was, but it wasn't as bad as I think it is now, but it was still pretty bad.
A lot of fans out on the course for you guys this morning?
Yeah. I don't think it's as much people as usual this morning, which I think is a bit odd, but there's still a lot of people out there cheering everyone on.
That's awesome. That's great. And Surly Amoncio, we just seen, he made it to the top of the hill finally, so you can be proud of that. Johnny, I don't know how we could have timed this out any more perfectly, but Surly Amoncio, which is Ryan's dad, running 5th place in the vet class, stuck on the hill climb out there. He said, I think that's my dad. I think that's my dad, he said. All right, we're waiting on our leaders now. This is coming out of the John Penton section. I explained it a little bit earlier, kind of in passing, but about a half mile before this is where our leaders come out of that John Penton section. There's about 2.5 miles of section that those riders are racing out there. Very tight, and it slows the pace down. There's Caleb Russell checking in with us, as Ryan points out there. Ryan, looking like Caleb seems to really kind of be in his own groove and his own pace right now.
I mean, yeah, this is kind of his hometown. This is where he kind of grew up, so I don't really blame him.
You realize his grandpa owns this place?
Oh, yeah.
There's Josh Strang now, your 2nd place ride, checking in as well.
And Ben Kelly.
And Ben Kelly not far off the pace, so he's not letting him get too far out. Now, what would you be doing right now if you were in Ben Kelly's shoes?
Well, if I were, I would most likely try to pressure him on. Hopefully, I can get him to make a mistake and try to capitalize on it.
There 9 seconds back is the 3:14 of Grant Baylor, the Grizzly. Man, I tell you, when he starts roaring, it's going to get interesting. And we are in the part of the race where Grizzly Grant always seems to shine the brightest as we approach that. Well, now past that hour-and-a-half mark on the timing and scoring. So with that being said, Grizzly Grant, 6th place position, 5th place overall after time adjustments, before time adjustments, I should say, at the end of lap number 2. Here on lap number 3, as we're closing in on the conclusion of this one, he's worked his way up to a 4th place position physically on the racetrack. Now, I'm not sure where that's going to put Craig DeLong right now. When we look at the split times between Grant Baylor and Craig DeLong as far as he elapsed time, it was a 1:04.39. There's Jordan Nash. Yep, he's checking in now. That would be your, 4th place position?
Oh, Craig DeLong's on him.
Oh, and
wow.
DeLong. Now, we saw this, I think, a little while ago, but he wasn't nearly that close, Ryan. He has gotten a lot closer to him. I'm trying to sort out here what kind of difference. There was only 3 seconds that was difference in the time adjustment between DeLong and Grant Baylor for the overall 4th place position. So there's a chance now that Grant has found himself out ahead of Jordan Ashburn, that he might be able to bridge that 3-4 second gap. But at the same time, Craig DeLong not slowing down either, but he is behind Jordan Ashburn at this point, and that might slow him down just enough to put Grant Baylor back in not only the physical 4th, but also the time adjusted 4th place position. Picking up on the leaders as we head out into these open field sections. Thought we were looking at Caleb there for a moment, and I think
that hill climb is really bad in the morning. Oh my!
Here comes. Wow, you can tell the difference in Caleb.
Josh Strang.
That's Josh Strang, yeah. So you can definitely tell the difference. And look at those powder berms, the dust plumes starting to really kick up the dust here today. A lot different than what we saw yesterday. It was drying out and those berms were getting big, and it was a little dusty, but man, today the soil's so much drier. Even after a few rain showers that passed through here last evening, it's just been, it's just typical early summer here in southeastern Ohio, and this racetrack is giving us everything that it's got to give us here today. And that's the great thing about coming here to Ohio. It doesn't matter what the conditions are, there's always something out there to be thrown at everyone, it seems like.
Ben Kelly's not that far, but Josh Strang has opened up the gap.
So we'll get some accurate accounts of what's going on as far as timing and scoring goes. I'm really curious right now about Grant Baylor in this 4th place overall, whether or not he was able to bridge that 3-second gap on Craig DeLong that he had out there a few moments ago. Picking back up here with our leaders. Nice footage here coming from the Yamaha Racing Skycam. Still keeping an eye on, I believe that's Josh Strang, if I'm not mistaken, still out there on the Monster Energy Team Green Kawasaki as lays chase to the 1st place position holder of, if I'm still not mistaken, our leader, Caleb Russell. There's my grandson. Yeah, that's my grandbaby right there. First race he's ever been to. Hi, Grayson. Mercy. So now I'm wanting to go play with my grandson and watch races at the same time. I guess we're going to have to go find a tree to sit beside Johnny, and so I can let my grandson experience the race for the first time in the right way. There's Caleb Russell now making his way through the auxiliary pro pits. That gap again pretty wide and open between 1st and 2nd place position physically on the racetrack there of Josh Strang. But again, Caleb seems to be very comfortable as he heads in for an MMI pit stop. Looks like a fresh pair of goggles, a fresh bottle of water, and topping off a tank of fuel. No senses of urgency whatsoever. What was it, a vitamin pack?
I think there's like orange gels.
Gel pack, that's what they call them. I got a lot of nutrients, and a lot of riders at this level typically usually using those types of nutrients to help them through the second half of the race. Mikey Wayne standing by up in the BP Fuels Pro Row. What's going on, Mikey?
Rodney, just wanted to let you know we got a little separation between myself and the camera guy that was on Caleb for pits. Strang into the pits right now. Basically same pit stop that Caleb had, some fuel, fresh goggles, rehydrate, and he's back out there on the track. But I got to say, looks like that gap is closing up a little bit, and it looked like Grant Baylor, he's out of my sights now. I don't think Grant Baylor stopped for fuel that lap.
Now, that's interesting, but at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me to think that maybe Grant even stopped a little bit early. I know that with his tank and situation and no quick fills and things like that, they have a little different strategy about the way they're going to race this race. And I know in talking with Grant Baylor after the last race, he was really frustrated just from the simple fact that he felt like pit stops were his biggest disadvantage. He said every time that he would catch the leaders, he would be within sight of them within 10 seconds and closing in, and then he would have to stop, and they would get away from him.
Caleb's taking a look over his shoulder, see if he can find anyone.
Well, Caleb's looking back there, but like Johnny Gallagher said a few moments ago, I don't think he's going to see anybody back there. At least I don't think so. Maybe that is Josh a little closer.
That is Josh.
Yeah, Josh has closed up that gap. It was 15 seconds between Russell and Kelly at the end of lap number 2 and at the end of lap number 3, 17 seconds. So the gap about the same back to second place position. Lap times, though. Caleb Russell a 32.19, a 32.16 for Josh Strang. So Josh just a smidge faster, so he was able to bridge that gap up a little bit between first and second place now. Grant Baylor, look at that. He's up to the number 3 spot, 3.8 seconds.
Oh. Wow, that was close.
Grab a microphone, Johnny Gallagher, and talk us through this one, buddy. Give that headset. Set this one up, man. Now, I was looking away and trying to figure out some things here.
Grant Baylor is pushing for every possible millisecond to try to get to the rear wheel of Josh Strang. As you mentioned, pitted earlier, or maybe hasn't pitted at all yet. That being
Jump in there, Johnny. He did. I got confirmation on that. He did pit last lap. Obviously, he will have to pit again before it's said and done. But, yeah, you go on.
All right, so there he has pitted, but he was able to use that not pitting this lap to close up at what we saw was a 9-second gap back from Ben Kelly, and he was able to use that Ben Kelly pitting. He made the pass, and he was to the rear wheel of Strang. Nothing really alarming in the grand scheme of things, but he blew right off the track through the banner, just hard on the brakes, and that Sunday Creek soil just didn't offer him any grip.
Well, rolling through the finish line, we got some more of our top riders out here. Ben Kelly is through. Craig DeLong is through. Jordan Ashburn is through. Grant Baylor, as we said, third. Ben Kelly in fourth place position. Craig DeLong in fifth place position. As this race wears on, these front runners are really starting to pick the pace up. Grant Baylor, I think, could really maybe this could be the situation that really makes things, I think, exciting. If Baylor catches up to Josh Strang, that's going to pick that pace up, I think. And they could bridge that gap on Caleb. We might end up seeing a three-way shootout for this checker flag before it's all said and done.
Yeah, that's very possible. But looking at time, I'll tell you the one thing that is not working in Grant Baylor's favor. Grant Baylor must pit. If he doesn't pit next lap, he will absolutely have to pit on the white flag. So that means Grant Baylor still has one more pit left. By my calculations, Josh Strang, Caleb Russell, Ben Kelly, all done pitting for the day. So there's about a 10-second stop and the physical distance that he'll lose doing that Grant Baylor still has on the table. So for him to kind of be in that last lap shootout or the last two-lap shootout, he's going to need to actually get the lead and pull away a few seconds to have time. Or after he pits, he's going to have to close that gap back up. Look at this. Johnny Gerard has reeled in second place of Jonathan Johnson, and he's just a few bike lengths behind him as they're checking in at the completion of lap number 2. A few more seconds, and we'll see him cross that finish line.
All right, as we check in with the official times on that again, Craig DeLong, he had a 27-second lead over Jonathan Johnson at the end of lap number 2. As we wrap up lap number 3, we're going to see, I think, some changes. That gap appears to be a little bit larger, a minute and 28 seconds now, and the new second-place ride is the 990 of Cody Barnes. Jonathan Johnson, 8 seconds behind Barnes in that number 3 spot. Jonathan Gerard, 4 spot, another 5 seconds back behind Jonathan Johnson. Mike Witkowski, next rider to check in, but again, we know he's had his struggles there on lap number 3, so I'm going to be looking for Liam Draper to start making some moves here pretty soon.
Yeah, Draper was in 5th the last time we saw them, and they should have already checked in because I think I saw them on the backside of the moto track. But yeah, if they have not yet, something may be amiss there with Draper. Witkowski had lost a bunch of time.
Draper's in now, 31.8 seconds behind Gerard. He's now in the 5th place position in the XC2 class.
There you go. So your top 5 are in XC2. And Witkowski, tell you what, he's going to have a long road to hoe if he wants to get back up here and battle for a podium because he just keeps to be losing time. As we see 198 of Liam Draper on the Teely Energy Racing KTM on screen. A rider that we know is wanting podiums. He's absolutely wanting the top 5s, which he's currently 5th, but this is a rider that is believing he is capable of and should be getting podiums. So right now, he's in that 5th place spot, but as you mentioned, he's got a pretty good gap to bridge to catch back up to Johnny Gerard for that 4th place spot. Even further to go to get to 3rd. 2nd place is Cody Barnes up there a ways, and Craig DeLong, really pretty long gone in this one right now, Rod. It seems that Craig DeLong, kind of barring some kind of a major mistake or a charge from one of these guys, looks like Craig DeLong kind of putting this one out of reach.
I think Craig DeLong, if he keeps pushing enough, I think he'll make it up to that top 3, but I don't think Grant's going to let him that easy.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. You got Ben Kelly, Grant Baylor, this guy, Caleb Russell, and Josh Strang, all wanting to be on that podium, all wanting to win. I think when they start pushing each other even more so, which with Grant charging, we're going to see that in the coming laps. I think it's going to make it harder, but Craig DeLong, he's got the stuff. He may very possibly be able to put that XC2 ride. Look at this. That gap seems like it's shrunk down just a little bit. Josh Strang in 2nd on the 114 Racing Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki. Right behind him, Grant Baylor.
Wow.
So they are basically wheel to wheel in that number 2 spot. There is Josh Strang, and they'll be coming up this FMF Power, or I'm sorry, the Monster Hill Climb. There is Strang through the crowd and up the hill. Baylor right behind him through the crowd and up the hill. Baylor having some struggles there. It looked like he had to kind of hit a line a little further to the right because he lost his momentum. No major time loss there. That is Ben Kelly there. So Kelly really losing the draft to the top 3 there. And there he is on screen getting a run and now back in that 4th place spot. But he is a good little ways behind that top 3. So he's going to need to put in a charge this lap if he wants to be in that conversation and in that battle for a podium when this one's done here in about another hour and 20 minutes. Look at this on screen, Ryan. Caleb Russell in the FMF PowerPoint. We see the switchbacks, and he's going to see a charging Josh Strang and a charging Grant Baylor if he looks back on this final corner, because these guys are starting to make inroads into getting into that lead of Caleb Russell. There you see in the background, you can't, we panned away, but that was Josh Strang and Grant Baylor there in the 2nd and 3rd place spot. We might get to see him here at the FMF banner, and we'll see exactly what the gap is. Caleb Russell should be coming in. There he is. 42.56. He passes that FMF banner. We'll wait and see just what the gap is, Ryan.
All right. I think Grant can take this if he pushed enough, but his pit has to be fast if he wants to take it.
So
that's about...
he is still about that 17 seconds. So it actually seems like it's closer, but I think Caleb Russell might have gotten word that those guys are coming, and he picked it back up. It seemed like it was closer at the FMF power point. Look at this. Jordan Ashburn having some struggles here at the, there was a rider down there. That bike was just laying. There's bikes everywhere on that thing.
Wow.
That is a really slick. We saw, you weren't with us here a little bit earlier, but we saw Mateo Oliveira, Dante's younger brother, was stuck on that hill climb. The fans had to turn around his bike and come back down. I bet you're happy you didn't have to run that section this morning, huh, buddy?
I am really happy.
Yeah, it's a very technical section. That rock, it's hard to tell, but that rock is one of the slickest substances on planet Earth that those spectators are standing just to the left of there on screen. So the riders have to jump out onto that slippery rock, get enough traction to climb that hill, and it is a tricky, precarious, almost hard enduro-like section. Very short section, but it's already played havoc on some of the riders today, as we saw Jordan Ashburn having to wait. So here he is. Craig DeLong leading the way in XC2. Jordan Ashburn now behind him. So Craig DeLong still charging and trying to open up that gap as we look and try and see exactly what Craig's gap was.
Is that Ben Kelly or is that Josh?
That's Josh Toth.
Okay.
Yeah, Ben Kelly's probably a little over a minute ahead of these guys. So as we're to wait, try and get some live timing and scoring up as we watch. There is DeLong, there is Ashburn, and the next rider by should be the 2:06 of Josh Toth. Looks like he may have taken that left line out and around, and there he goes. So that is the sixth place rider in XC2. I
think Josh is actually starting to close down the gap again.
Yeah, he's definitely made up quite a bit of time on starting to make up a little bit of time on Jordan Ashburn. So that is getting a lot closer. There's Johnny Gerard. So there's your second place rider. Oh, he has actually gotten around Jonathan Johnson. So he was in fourth. He's now up to third, and it looks like Cody Barnes might have been just in front of those two. So there is 2, 3, and 4 in the XC2 class. Craig DeLong already through the FMF PowerPoint, which is another section further along the track. So he's a good ways ahead. We'll see if, here's some of our amateur riders, and this will give you just an idea of how technical and tough this section is. These guys are saying, man, I don't even know if I'm going to make it up this, but they're going to give it everything they got. Looks like that guy made it. This guy's going to give it a run, and he got it.
There we go. I'm pretty sure there is a loophole around that uphill.
Well, that's actually the easy way that those guys are on.
Really?
Yeah, that's the easy. Well, I think you might be right. There's a way around. There's two ways. Okay, Cody Barnes, second place in XC2 into the FMF PowerPoint. So that gives you the idea of just how big that gap is that Craig DeLong has built up in that XC2 class. That was Johnny Gerard
right behind him.
Yeah, like I said, he was right on those guys at the Monster Energy hill climb. And so Johnny Gerard up and starting to pressure for that second place spot. Was back in the sixth place spot last lap. There's Barnes on that factory beta, and he is real soon here going to hear the bark of that Trail Jesters KTM of Johnny Gerard, and he is right behind there in that third place spot. There he is coming by, missing a shroud, and there is Jonathan Johnson. Was in second, now back to fourth, but still very much in the fight for this podium position.
Well, Johnny, as we roll through this lap number 4 now, just past the halfway point, again, I always like to take a look at how the top amateurs are doing. And in, basically every race so far this season, I think we've seen Brody Johnson as one of the top amateurs. There's Caleb Russell on screen with us right now as we check in with him and our leader. But Brody Johnson, once again, is our overall top amateur. That's non-XC1, 2, or 3 rider in the 258 class. He's 14th overall right now, just to give you an idea where he's at.
So we're going to get a gap here. This has come down. We're not going to see, unfortunately, we're not going to see exactly where Strang is at. Grant Baylor has given up some serious time. He has lost a good bit of time. He lost about 9 seconds to Josh Strang. Last time we saw, he was on Josh Strang's rear wheel. Now he's about 9 seconds back. And that gap back from Caleb Russell to Josh Strang has shrunk from 17 seconds down to 12 in that section.
Well, that says a lot. And again, talking about those sections, some sections a little slower, some a little faster. But, all in all, I think every inch of this racetrack finds some sort of challenge out there.
I tell you.
You know, we're getting word that Grant Baylor's bike is starting to sound a little rough, and I didn't want to point it out a little while ago, but when I saw the puff of smoke coming out of there, and I didn't want to say because I didn't want to be the guy that was ringing a bell of alarm whenever maybe there shouldn't be an alarm rung. But we are getting reports from track crew members that bike is starting to find its issues again. 2 races in a row now.
Yeah, the last time we saw him, he had just come through a small creek, and there was a puff of white smoke. So I gave it the benefit of the doubt and hoped that it was steam, because a lot of times with the hot engine, hot pipe, if water comes up and hits just the right spot, it'll create a steam that can almost look like smoke. And it didn't look like it was coming out of the exhaust, so I was like, okay, let's just assume that was steam. But now if we're getting reports that the bike is not sounding right, I mean, we'll hope against hope that it was just an anomaly and everything is good to go. But oh, look at this, Ashburn back around Craig DeLong.
Wow.
So these, again, not in a battle for position, but these guys are still pushing, and Jordan Ashburn has made the pass back around Craig DeLong.
Well, you know, as much as anything, I'm sure it's a hard pill to swallow to have an XC2 guy, not only to track you down, but to pass you. And Jordan Ashburn, knowing the level of rider he is and what he's capable of riding at, I'm sure it's got to be frustrating to have that guy bridge that gap by a minute physically on the track on you like that.
Yeah, you know, it can you can kind of make a choice of how you look at it. It can be frustrating, but at the same time, it can be motivating because it gives you an opportunity. You know, if that guy's caught you from a minute behind, you know he's carrying more speed than you, and a lot of times you can do exactly what it appears Jordan may have done, which is kind of latch on, learn some of his lines, learn his pace, learn exactly what he's doing to make up that time, and then use that experience that Jordan Ashburn has of all those years of XC1 and say, okay, now we're deeper into this race. I'm going to pick up the pace, and a lot of times you can actually see the XC1 guys, and Grant Baylor's one that we've seen do that a number of times. He'll be back battling with XC2 guys early in the race, and next thing you know, he's on the overall podium by the end of it. And you're like, well, how did that happen? Some guys, as you pointed out, some guys are faster starters, some guys come on and warm up as the race goes on. And it seems that Jordan Ashburn may be starting to warm up, or, again, could have just been a rough section there for Craig DeLong.
Right. One thing I've seen about Jordan, though, it seems like he starts strong, fades in the middle, and then comes back on strong at the end. He's like, there's 3 phases to him throughout the race.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, Jordan's a rider that we've seen battle for many, many wins over his career on many different brands. You know, this is a rider that's got a lot of experience. So, you know, he's going to ride his best race and just kind of try and put everything else that he can out of his mind and just focus on going as fast as he can go.
Still very touch and go, and line choice is very critical for these riders as they make their way through this section of race course now. There's Jonathan Gerard now. It looks like was that Jonathan Johnson just ahead of him?
No, that was actually Cody Barnes. There is Jonathan Johnson right behind him.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
2, 3, and 4. Barnes still in second, Johnny Gerard in third, and Jonathan Johnson in that 4th place ride.
Well, that's switched up a little bit. Well, no, there it is. 8th place for Cody Barnes. He was leading the XC2 250 Pro class. Johnson in second, and Gerard, there you go, in 3rd place. You know, there's only 12 seconds that separate those, well, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place positions. I guess Craig DeLong is your leader. But 1 minute and 28 seconds between 1st and 2nd. But, man, that battle for 2nd place, that one's really heated up. Just a handful of seconds separating those riders right now.
Yeah, those guys. Johnny Gerard's been the one on the charge. You know, a little over a lap ago, we thought it was going to be Mike Wachowski who would bridge that gap, but it ended up being Mike Wachowski going down and Johnny Gerard kind of picking up that steam that Wachowski had built up. He's bridged that gap, and now he's up into 3rd, right on the 2nd place rider. 5th place, Liam Draper just coming by in that XC2 class.
Well, there he is. He's 11th place overall, and Caleb Russell continues to lead this one here at his family farm as he looks for win number 66 here in his GNCC racing career as he goes for another one here today. Will he be able to pull it off? Well, stick around. We'll find out. Josh Strang back there to number 2 spot. Grant Baylor still 3rd, but he's losing steam literally out there. What's going to happen to that bike? We don't know, but we will find out very soon, and you can too. Come back with us. GNCC Live continues after this.
When you crave the canyon passes, rocky trails, rutted tracks, the podiums and personal records, it becomes part of you. The choice now is, do you become a wanderer or the wanderer? You just need to ride where you belong.
It's hard to put our adventures on hold, but now is the perfect time to prepare for their return. Amsoil has your back with fast, free shipping, and ordering has never been easier. Just look up your vehicle, select your product, add an oil change to your cart, and check out. Spend $50 on Amsoil products and shipping is on us. Order now at amsoil.com.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
The Yamaha GNCC University returns, calling all ATV and motorcycle off-road racers. Are you looking to hone your riding and racing skills? Want to learn hands-on with the best of the best past and current GNCC racers and champions? Then sign up for the 2020 Yamaha GNCC University, returning to Snowshoe Mountain Resort September 23rd through the 25th. We're bringing together Yamaha's ATV and motorcycle racing elites to instruct in-depth courses on fundamentals of racing and riding. During the Yamaha GNCC University, students will participate in lectures about sportsmanship, training, proper nutrition, and mental preparation, along with hands-on skills and drills designed to improve your riding and confidence in a variety of terrain and situations. Reservations are on a first-come, first-served basis with limited openings, evenly split between the disciplines. For more details and to register, call Snowshoe Mountain Resort at 877-441-4386. We look forward to seeing you at the top of Snowshoe Mountain, then on top of the podium.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride. We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lieb, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
How's it going? My name's Sam. I'm with Factory Beta USA. Me and my buddy are out of Texas. I wrenched for Cody Barnes and Chase Colville. Cody's racing XC2 and Chase is racing XC3. Yeah, we're doing quite a bit. Look at the forecast, supposed to rain quite a bit. Looks like later on today, probably tomorrow. Doing quite a bit of mud prep, using some foam around the shifter, the brake pedals, up underneath the skid plate, doing a couple extra guards over the radiators, try to keep the heat down whenever it gets packed full of mud. Yeah, I grew up racing local stuff in Texas. I got on with the local shop at a KTM dealership, did that for about 10, 12 years. Then I got a call from Beta to work for the GNCC National Enduros. Been here for about 2 years. I actually got to race 2 races last year after Cody Barnes got hurt. It was a lot of fun, tracks are gnarly, but it allowed me to really be able to see what I need to do to the bikes to make them better for this type of race. I'm Sam Gaines. You're watching GNCC Live on RacerTV.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Rodney Tomlin along with Mikey Wayne, Johnny Gallagher, and Ryan Amancio joining us here on a Sunday as we roll through 3 hours of intensity here in the soils of southeastern Ohio at the 2-hour mark now here at the Weisco John Penton GNCC. Caleb Russell continuing to lead, Josh Strang, Grant Baylor, and Ben Kelly back in the number 4 spot, but I think we got some changes possibly on the horizon with Grant Baylor, as we reported because before the break that they were saying that it sounded like Grant's bike was having some issues. Both Johnny and I, he saw it one place, I saw it another, saw some puffs of smoke, but we didn't want to be alarmed about it or alarm anyone else. But if that's the case and Grant's bike is starting to run a little rough, then that's the likelihood that we did see smoke instead of steam coming out of that machine. Regardless, we're waiting here at the 7-mile marker. We'll see our leaders checking in here in just a few moments. Russell having a near 20-second lead over Josh Strang when they entered this section. That'll be about 3 miles ago here at this particular point in juncture on the racetrack, Johnny Gallagher. Grant Baylor at the last check was, when they came through the finish line, 3 seconds, but he had lost a lot of time the last time we saw him between second and third.
He was about 9 seconds back the last time we saw him on Josh Strang. But keep in mind, Josh Strang had actually closed up on Caleb Russell about 5 seconds. So it might not have been that he lost time. It might have been that Josh had actually just gained time.
That's it. That's it. So we'll wait here and see what the true tale of the tape is.
And, keeping in mind with Grant Baylor's bike, obviously everybody's a little gun shy because of the issue that he had just 2 weeks ago while battling for a podium spot near the end on the final lap of racing at that just 2 weeks ago at the High Point GNCC. That being said, a noise in the bike is something, that could be a clutch noise. He could end up continuing through this race and just go easy on the clutch. There's a lot of communication that's going to happen between
right, and there's one thing to point out that took place 2 weeks ago at High Point. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a bike problem. It wasn't an issue with the bike. It wasn't an issue with the rider. What it was is that somehow or another, dust got into the bike, a little more dust than what they expected somehow or another, and that's what kind of gave them the problems that they had. So it wasn't like a design flaw, it wasn't a mechanical issue, it wasn't a prep issue or anything. It was just a racing issue.
Caleb Russell has no racing issues right now. He's out front and on his way out of the John Penton section. Went away from that corner at roughly 38, 2:02:38, so we'll see what is back to the man that we should see coming around the corner at about any second, and there he is, Josh Strang on the 114 Monster Energy, taking a look at the camera, saying, hey, you guys getting this? Because I'm going to go try and catch that guy. So 38 to 58, 20 seconds now. So it went from, and there's Grant Baylor still there, still running strong, and still very close to Josh
And
Strang.
no puffs of smoke this time. If we just saw him last 2 weeks ago, whenever it was really rough, there was a lot of smoke. So whatever we saw may have been steam coming out of the machine. What they heard, like you pointed out, could have just been something fluke at that particular moment. It could have worked itself out, and obviously it hasn't slowed down the pace of the 314 ride of Grant Baylor just yet, because he's still well within striking distance, it looks like, of a second place position. But more importantly for Grant, I think at this juncture in the season, man, even if he doesn't go any further ahead than where he is right now, Johnny, this will be a monumental finish for him to get that bike up on the podium.
Absolutely, and so much that we're seeing on screen to talk about with those top three. But let's talk about what we're not seeing on screen, Rodney. We're not seeing Ben Kelly. Ben Kelly has not come by. That gap went from bike lengths to seconds to now. I mean, we have to be up. In fact, we are up over a minute. So that's a big gap. There is Ben Kelly. So he's dropped a minute on this lap alone to Josh Strang and to Grizzly Grant. I keep wanting to say to Grizzly Baylor, to Grizzly Grant Baylor. So that's, and again, if you're a Josh, I'm sorry, if you're a Ben Kelly fan, nothing to be alarmed about. Ben's one race back from a long hiatus. He hasn't been racing. It's very hot, very technical today. Fourth place amongst the best riders in the world. Nothing to shake a stick at.
And you can tell by looking at this track. I mean, we had a rough racetrack, I think, at High Point a couple of weeks ago. And like I was saying, this is a different kind of rough, I think, than what even 2 weeks ago was.
I'll tell you, man, this track, it got the best of me for sure. So I know how rough it is out there. And now with 2 more races since my race finished, it's only gotten rougher. And you really, here is Caleb Russell out and into the field on the grass track section, and he's continuing to try to just blow up those dust berms, twist that throttle on that KTM 350 XC, and see if he can stretch it out even further over the second place, the 114, the freight train of Josh Strang.
And he's certainly a Moncio fan, Ryan's dad's fans. Just to let you know, he has progressed to the motocross track. Ryan looks at, there's my dad.
He's supposed to be out there cheering him on. Clay, he cheers you on for your race, don't you?
Yeah, he does, but I feel like this makes him more happier than me just be cheering him on.
Well, you can cheer him on from the booth, right?
Fair enough.
He can go back and listen, can't he?
Yes, sir.
All right, so that was Caleb Russell out in that field again, about 20-second lead over Josh Strang, and Grant Baylor again just a handful of seconds back. That big gap back to 4th place. The one rider we didn't see come through that time. Still your leader, though, I think, in that XC2 class, and 5th, maybe 4th place overall right now, Craig DeLong. Still keeping a very tight ship, it seems like, on that Rockstar Husqvarna he's riding.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Craig DeLong progress into that 4th place overall position with not that Ben Kelly isn't still flying out there, but you can visibly see how much he's slowed down and how much his riding posture has changed this last lap and a half. I saw it last lap, even when he was still in that final podium spot battle. You could see something with Ben Kelly just wasn't clicking. He wasn't riding like himself. It appears to me, honestly, it appears that he's tired. It appears that this track has gotten the best of Ben Kelly now 2 hours into this thing. And I think at this point he might just be thinking, all right, I'm going to ride this one out for the next hour, try to collect my top 5 and take this one as experience and know what I need to work on my training. Because Ben Kelly wants to be ready for round 1, 2021. That's his focus. That's his goal.
You mentioned heat, and something I noticed yesterday, we would have heat and humidity for a few minutes, and then the temperature would, did you notice that out on the track, that it would get hot and then it would get cool yesterday?
Yeah, we got some rain showers as we watch. Caleb Russell taking another drink bottle. He's been grabbing one just about every lap. So speaking of the heat and humidity, looks like Caleb Russell doing the best he can to keep himself hydrated. We know he actually had some hydration issues at our first round back to racing after our hiatus, and basically was in kind of la-la land the last lap and a half, 2 laps. Looks like he sucked that bottle down real quick, drank it all, spit it out on the throttle, up the hill, and into the woods just above the John Penton Sunday Creek motocross track, which he'll be coming out onto. Speaking of the Sunday Creek motocross track, Rodney, how about it? Caleb Russell, how much time do you think he spent on this track over the years?
Well, a lot of time on this track. I was telling a story yesterday, and I probably told it a couple times in years past on bike day, but I remember Caleb Russell as a little kid right down here in this little area right down here, this little ditch, playing in the mud. He was about 4 years old.
Grant Baylor with a quick fill. What's going on here? Is he on someone else's? I thought they did not have it.
That's something new then. They must have got it.
Yeah, they got an adapter on the bike there. I saw it sticking up. So Grant Baylor does have a quick fill, looking like he is still in that third place spot, but he has given up some valuable time and real estate to Josh Strang. So that pit went much quicker than anticipated. So that leaves him still very much in the battle as we wait and see. Wow, he is a good ways behind though. Yeah, he's dropped a good bit. He was only about 8 seconds behind Josh Strang. I think at scoring, we're going to see that that's upwards of 20.
All right, so we wait here patiently at the score tent. 2-lap board is out, by the way, so 2 more laps to go. Looks like it's going to be a 6-lap race. Caleb Russell checking in, 18 seconds back. Josh Strang now in the number 2 spot. And we wait to see how far Grant Baylor is back in that number 3 position. As we said, just under 4 seconds at the end of lap number 3, and at the end of lap number 4, we know on lap 4 he had some issues of some sort out there that kind of took him off the pace of Josh Strang there, and quite a bit back off the pace as we still wait for the 314 to check in as we watch the 114 to Strang. And there it is, 22 seconds that separate second and third place position now.
But don't think that Grant Baylor can't reel that 22 seconds back in. Or for that matter, the additional 18 that it would take to get to Caleb Russell. This is a rider that late in the races just finds another gear.
So Russell, Strang, Baylor, 1, 2, and 3 as we roll through this one, heading into the final hour of racing. And I just got a text from Brian Cranham, who is the social media guy, the media guy from over at Team Sherco, the Factory One Sherco team. He says, no quick fill today, dump can is what he called it. Looked like a quick fill, but regardless, it worked. But it worked.
I think what he's referring to is they have an actual quick fill that goes into the stock tank.
Right.
And then the dump can is what we call a dry brake.
Okay.
So he's actually got a dry brake set up on that machine, whereas a conventional quick fill has like a lever and it just drops the gas out quickly. The cool thing about a dry brake, and I don't know that we've ever really talked about this, is it actually does an air exchange. It uses the air from inside the empty gas tank to push the fuel out from in the dump can. So it's not just gravity, it's actually a pressurized feed. Ben Kelly on screen and threw in that 4th place spot in the XC1. So and that was the issue that they were having earlier in the year. Grant Baylor actually blew the dry brake adapter off of his tank because it was plastic welded. It was an aluminum adapter, plastic welded to the tank. They had a company build them for him. He blew the adapter off, and that's why he had to come in and do that tank swap we saw. I believe that was in Florida. So they had gone back to a conventional tank with a stock cap. They would have to spin the cap off and then use a quick fill, which isn't really all that quick, to get the fuel in. And then now they're actually using a dry brake fuel tank.
But they're still miles ahead of what they were with the screwing the lid off and putting the gas in the way that they have, because I realize that their tank's not as big, but the good thing about it is his pit stops have sped up quite a bit, and that right there really is going to bode well, and I think it's going to make for better overall finishes, if not today, at least in the future, because I think pit stops, like we pointed out so many times, very critical. 1 to 2 seconds can mean the race for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to clarify, the dry brake setup that he has, although it's an adapter that goes onto their stock tank, it isn't any slower than a tank that's meant to be that way. The fueling is taking the exact same amount of time as everybody else. His only disadvantage, as you pointed out, is being that it's not a larger capacity tank and it's a stock tank. He's having to stop twice, where in a race today specifically, the 2 guys in front of him are on a one-stop strategy.
Well, I tell you, I mean, everybody knew coming into this one it was going to be a learning year for the Factory One Sherco team, and I think they've done a great job. I mean, we've seen earlier in the season Stu, his big brother, putting that thing up on the podium, nearly taking it to the center of the box a couple of different times, and so, you know, some growing pains that we've seen through the team, but man, I tell you, really, my hat's off to Factory One Sherco, because they've really taken an unproven, I don't want to say an unproven machine, because we just hadn't seen it in the XC1 class yet. We here in the GNCC, but man, they're really showing what this machine is capable of.
Well, and I think that's the key. I think a lot of people, you know, the narrative preseason was, how are the Baylor boys going to do on the Sherco? You know, they've been KTM riders with the exception of Grant going to Yamaha for a couple years there. They've been KTM riders their whole lives, and you know, I think anybody that follows different disciplines aside from GNCC knows that the Sherco brand has had a lot of success, specifically in European formats of racing, which are shorter sprint type events. They haven't really had the success in endurance racing at speed, which is what GNCC is, and even some of the West Coast like Works and that kind of stuff. So I think the narrative for
and I think this is their real first effort, though, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, the bikes have been there, but I don't believe that they've ever been there at a factory-supported level. There's been people riding them, and that was kind of the question. Is I don't think anybody doubted the ability of the machine to go fast. It's really been, how prepared are they for what these formats of racing throw at it? If the whole track was like this right here, extreme enduro type stuff, the Shrikos would almost be an advantage because that's what they've really excelled at over the years. And now, they're in a completely different situation. And again, proving their prowess as a machine, it's really just figuring out the team and all the little idiosyncrasies of the machine. Josh Strang looks like he's made up a little bit of time on Caleb Russell.
Yeah, coming through, and we're starting, and this seems like the same old song and dance, deja vu, but lap traffic again here late in the race. Always seems to tighten things up a little bit. Sometimes second place can take advantage of it. Don't know if that's going to be so much the case here today or not, but it certainly is visibly showing us things start tightening up some out there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Grant Baylor has lost a lot of time. Don't know if it was as a result of just that pit stop or if maybe, like we pointed out, he had some other issues on that lap because he was right there and then he was slowly falling back. So we're at 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. He's about 25 seconds or more behind Josh Strang now, where he was on his rear wheel a lap ago, and just after that even a little bit further in the lap, 4 seconds back. So he's lost about 20 seconds to Josh Strang in just a few miles. Caleb Russell leading the way. PowerPoint, Rodney, and he's not taking a look back this time. You almost got to believe that he's gotten a pit board that says Josh Strang is coming.
So head down and looking forward and not wanting to let that bridge be gapped. I know Caleb Russell, there it is. I mean, he has, I think, gotten a little bit closer. So that gap is starting to close up. It was 18 seconds. We're probably still in the neighborhood of 14 or 15 seconds, but still that 4 seconds really seems to be a lot whenever we see it on the track right now.
Well, and not only that, you have to figure, when you're looking at at a gap of 20 seconds, that sounds comfortable. But when you give up 4 or 5, that's a quarter of the gap. So if he does that 2 more times, now it's down to a 4-second gap, and he can see him. And that's the key. Sometimes people think, well, it's not that big deal if I lose just a couple seconds. Well, it may not be, but there's this kind of invisible carrot that Josh Strang is chasing right now. Aside from on the moto track, that's the only place currently that he is able to see Caleb Russell. He's basically chasing a ghost. Now, if he's able to reel that in and get it down to 10 or 12 seconds, there's going to be other spots on the track, switchbacks and such, that he'll be able to see Caleb Russell, and he'll know he's made progress. That's going to make him push that much harder. There is Grant, and again, that gap has gotten much, much, much bigger.
But pointing out, man, a comfortable third-place position he's riding in right now. He's got a minute right now over Ben Kelly, who's back in the number 4 spot.
Yep. Yeah, he's got a really good gap on Ben Kelly. And I think if we look at the overall, has Craig DeLong been able to get around?
And that's what I was updating to check out. As we look at that, right now, Ben Kelly still has the current overall 4th-place position on time adjustments. The difference, 18 seconds.
Okay, well, and there is Craig DeLong on screen. Jordan Ashburn, again, has gotten around Craig DeLong. That's him we see riding off in the distance, just in front of Craig DeLong there. But Craig DeLong still with it. There is Ashburn now coming to the hill climb. So Ashburn's starting to make a little bit of ground on the 4th place rider of Ben Kelly. If Ben, it was still 45 minutes, basically just under 2 laps left in this race. If Ben's not able to kind of regroup himself, it seems he might be struggling just a little bit physically, or maybe it's mental. He just doesn't seem to have the aggression he had earlier in the race. If he's not able to kind of stabilize himself, we could start to see Jordan Ashburn chip away at that gap that he's got built over Ashburn for that 4th place spot.
Exactly. So continuing to watch to see how this one unfolds here with less than 2 laps to go now. We are 2 hours and looks like, about 17 minutes into this one now. 22 minutes before our leaders will be due in for a white flag and start adding times together, 31, 32-minute lap times basically. Yeah, we're going to be probably just at or just over that 3-hour mark whenever the checker flag finally flies. But, you pointed out the heat a little bit ago, Johnny. I really think the temperature is, at least the breeze has picked up a little bit. And, we do have some showers forecasted for this afternoon.
afternoon, the likelihood of that maybe moving in as well, at least a front moving through. It seems to have cooled down just a little bit, at least for a few moments.
Hey, I think our built-in air conditioning in our studio is helping out. We opened up the sides. There is Craig DeLong, your leader in the XC2 class, will be coming up the hill here in just a moment. There's Ashburn. That's fifth place in the XC1 class. Ben Kelly in that fourth place spot, about a minute ahead of him, give or take. And then there is Craig DeLong there, your leader of XC2.
All right, let's go back and look at that XC3 class. We haven't really talked about these guys for a little bit, Johnny. And as we pull these guys up, they're still working. They're not due in for another 4 minutes before we'll see them for their fourth lap complete in the 2-lap board. But Zach Hayes was leading Mike DeLosa by about 53 seconds. Another 42 seconds back to Jake Froman. Nathan Ferderer has now moved up into a fourth place position as he's gotten around Jason Raines. Raines hasn't even finished the third lap yet, so I don't know what's going on there. Ben Wright in sixth. Seventh was Jason Lipscomb. So it looks like Lipscomb had some problems after that first lap, Johnny. He never has completed lap number 2, and Jeremy Lallement rounds out the 8 in the field. But right now it looks like Zach Hayes is going to put a little bit of cushion as far as the championship points race is concerned on today, as he's got, 3 positions over Nathan Ferderer right now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Jay Lipscomb was talking about. That looks to be Cody Barnes on screen there. So, wow, he really lost a lot of time there. May still be in that. Oh, here's Caleb Russell coming through, still leading the way, and we'll see if we can get a gap here as he crosses and turns up that hill at 18:54, just as he starts up the hill. But Cody Barnes, I don't know if we've got a check there at timing and scoring, Rodney, if we can see how that XC2 is shaping up. Look at this. Here is Strang. So that was 50, what do we say, 52?
54.
54. So, yeah, 12. So he's looking at about 18 seconds.
Yeah. So looking at the XC2 class, the gap 2 minutes and 8 seconds between DeLong and Barnes right now. Just 26 seconds between second and third of Barnes and Garrar. Jonathan Johnson, another 12 seconds back in fourth. Liam Japer now rounding out the top 5. Mike Wachowski 6th. Thorne Devlin at 7th. Ben Nelko 8th. Ryder Lafferty 9th. And Simon Johnson rounding out the top 10. Boy, it seems like our
30 seconds back to Grant Baylor, Rodney.
Wow.
That gap
That's opened up quite a bit, yeah. Ryder Lafferty having his struggles out here today, it looks like, as he's dropped off to the 9th place position. Now, actually, he's been kind of hanging there. He's never really been able to get up to speed or get things put together today, it doesn't look like.
Yeah, like I said, talking with him yesterday, he's kind of seemed he had his frustrations coming into, not frustrations coming into this weekend, but his frustrations with this track in the past. But he seemed to have a pretty good attitude. He felt like, he was in a position where he might be ready to tackle this place and really get the best of it. So far today, that hasn't been the case, but still a top 10 ride in that XC2 class is very respectable and valuable points towards him earning a good overall number this season.
Johnny, do you think that a rider, when they come into an event and in the back of their mind they've not had successes in the past, and no matter how good things are currently going at that particular time, is that something that weighs heavy on their mind? Do they think that they can push through it? Or do you find that riders, even whenever they're doing their best, when they come to a track they've never done well at, they kind of play mind games with themselves?
There's Ben Kelly on screen, so there is our 4th place rider in that XC1 and overall. I think it can go both ways. I think, your mentally stronger riders, will kind of, they'll overcome that, and even though they might be thinking in the back of their mind, like, hey, I've never done well here, they'll kind of do that whole, like, hey, let's get that idea out of our head, let's think it's going to be a good weekend, and a lot of it, I think, is a self-fulfilling prophecy. I know for me personally, over the years, I always seem to do well at certain tracks, and especially when it was muddy, yes, I'm a good mud rider, but at the same time, it's that attitude of going into the race and not thinking like, man, if I can have a great day, and if you guys could maybe not have such good days and I could ride really well, maybe I could battle for a top 10, versus, on a day where it's muddy, I might go to the race thinking, hey, I'm going to be on the podium today. Right. And a lot of times you have better days on those kind of days.
Right, yeah, I guess, I can imagine the confidence leading into that. I mean, it carries a lot of weight as far as your race day is concerned, and how, whoa, mercy, that's slick.
That was pretty exciting.
That right there, prime example of how slick and glass, that stuff is, it's not wet out there, Johnny. That's just the hard packed clay here in southeastern Ohio, particularly here on the Russell family farm.
Yeah, absolutely. There's your 5th place rider in XC1. That was Jordan Ashburn, and your 5th place rider overall, and your leader of XC2, Craig DeLong, came by, and also Josh Toth, still kind of in the shadow of those guys. So that is a battle over the 5th place position physically on the track. We've been missing Josh Toth in a lot of these shots, but he's kind of been just behind there, and he's not that far at all behind Jordan Ashburn, and could potentially come up and wrestle that 5th place position away.
Well, still working on lap number 4 for a lot of riders. We are on lap number 5 for our lead riders, the top 20 right now, working through those classes. And just an FYI update on your top amateur class rider. Just to point this out, 258 class rider Brody Johnson, 16th place overall, still leading the overall top amateur portion of this program. But I think something equally as interesting to me anyway is the fact that they are ahead of the FMF XC3 125 class riders now. So, you know, I know you could say, well, it's a 250 versus a 125, and I don't think that really carries as much weight as some think it does.
Yeah, and I think kind of, you know, if you look at it from the perspective of where those classes are at, I'm not all that surprised to see that today.
Well, Caleb Russell continues to lead it. Josh Strang and Grant Baylor losing a little bit of time there as far as the XC1 Pro class is concerned. Still a barn burner in some of those other classes that we'll be keeping up to date with as well. And the big question is, even though Caleb's out front, is he going to be able to take win 66 here today at the Russell Family Farm? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
When you crave the canyon passes, rocky trails, rutted tracks, the podiums and personal records, it becomes part of you. The choice now is, do you become a wanderer or the wanderer? You just need to ride where you belong.
It's hard to put our adventures on hold, but now is the perfect time to prepare for their return. Amsoil has your back with fast, free shipping, and ordering has never been easier. Just look up your vehicle, select your product, add an oil change to your cart, and check out. Spend $50 on Amsoil products and shipping is on us. Order now at amsoil.com.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
Yamaha GNCC University returns, calling all ATV and motorcycle off-road racers. Are you looking to hone your riding and racing skills? Want to learn hands-on with the best of the best past and current GNCC racers and champions? Then sign up for the 2020 Yamaha GNCC University, returning to Snowshoe Mountain Resort September 23rd through the 25th. We're bringing together Yamaha's ATV and motorcycle racing elites to instruct in-depth courses on fundamentals of racing and riding. During the Yamaha GNCC University, students will participate in lectures about sportsmanship, training, proper nutrition, and mental preparation, along with hands-on skills and drills designed to improve your riding and confidence in a variety of terrain and situations. Reservations are on a first-come, first-served basis with limited openings, evenly split between the disciplines. For more details and to register, call Snowshoe Mountain Resort at 877-441-4386. We look forward to seeing you at the top of Snowshoe Mountain, then on top of the podium.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride. We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lead, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that, because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
This week in Yamaha history takes us back to the 2005 John Penton GNCC. It was the height of the Bill Balance dynasty in ATV GNCC racing, and Bill Balance was all but an unstoppable force. Getting to the early lead in the slick and muddy conditions, Bill Balance seemed to be on a mission. However, as luck would have it, in the slick conditions that Ohio mud seems to have over most any race on the circuit, that took Balance all the way back to the 5th place position in class, and on adjusted time was 6th place overall as a young, then Pro-Am rider, Adam McGill, who was only a junior in high school, led the overall. By the end of lap number 3, Bill Balance had began his charge back to the front of the pack, passing through the field, passing riders like Johnny Gallagher, Matt Smiley, Chris Jinks, Thad Duvall, and even his own brother Brandon Balance, all the way up to 2nd place. And then finally, on lap number 4, Bill Balance aboard his Yamaha was able to reel in William Yoakley. And once in the lead, Balance never looked back. As bad as the conditions were, Balance kept his head down and kept moving forward, 44 seconds ahead of 2nd place by the time the checker flag flew, adding another explanation point to the fact that Bill Balance was to be one of the greatest GNCC racers ever. And that's this week in Yamaha history. And welcome back to GNCC Live. That was Chad Duvall, not Thad Duvall, in that Yamaha history report, by the way, as we pick the action back up here from Millfield, Ohio, in the John Penton GNCC. Last night we had another phenomenal turnout as far as our EMTB, the electric mountain bike GNCC racing, and off and rolling we got with nearly 60 riders once again. And guess who the force to factor in was again? Hot Rod Charlie Mullins. An unstoppable force as far as the EMTB GNCC is concerned. I think his biggest competition so far has been out of Ben Kelly, who raced only one EMTB. But regardless, folks are lining up and they're trying their best. And we've got some great battles that are shaping up, not only in the XC1 Pro class, but I think the youth class probably has some of the most exciting battles that we've seen. Wheel-to-wheel stuff like that. You got Talon Hawk, you got Cooper Knuth, Mitch Hawkins, the son of Randy Hawkins, the son of Barry Hawk, Talon Hawk out there. And
right there on screen.
Yep, there he is. And I'm not sure if he ended up winning that last night. I know that those three, there was like a three-way battle that's been between those youth riders over the course of the last couple of races that has just been intense and off the scale. So congratulations to all those riders and everyone for participating last night. It was another phenomenal event. Charlie Mullins takes the big win, and if I'm not mistaken, probably pretty much remains undefeated as far as the EMTB GNCC. Maybe coming up short one time, I think.
I believe undefeated this year.
This year. We'll go.
I know he did have a mechanical failure at a few of the races throughout the history of the EMTB, but every race that he's actually physically finished without issues, he has won.
Well, that says a lot about his athleticism, no doubt about it. Still a key element on the KTM team, helping some of those young riders and Caleb Russell in their training efforts and things like that. And speaking of Caleb Russell, I believe Caleb on his way through this section of the racetrack coming up here right now. This is, again, about a half mile after they exit the John Penton section. That John Penton section, for those that don't understand what that is a tight wood section, single trail. It's hard to get through. Sometimes you got to turn your handlebars just to get between some of the trees out there. So it's a slower moving section. It's a lot more technical, kind of old school type off-road racing, if you will, Johnny Gallagher.
And there is Caleb Russell coming out of that John Penton section and back into the rest of the racetrack, which the quads went ahead and ruined yesterday. And now this track, you know, we've obviously raced here for a number of years, but it's pretty resilient. It holds up pretty well throughout the weekend. It's got a really hard base. I didn't actually see what time Caleb Russell clicked out of that shot to know exactly what the split is, but judging by just a guesstimation, I'm going to say it's still around that 22nd, because there is Josh Strang, the number 114 on the Babbitt's Monster Energy Racing Kawasaki. He is still clear of Grant Baylor. 05 as he was kind of heading up after that left-hand turn. We'll see exactly where Grant Baylor is. Last way I counted, it was 30 seconds back to the third place spot, and he had kind of lost about 10 seconds in the last shot. This may be Grant here. It is. So it's, let's see, we're at 22, 20. We're going to be about 25. So he's got it down to 20 seconds where it was 30. So Grant Baylor starting to make up some, and again, we talk about 20 seconds. That's kind of that number. If you can get it below 20s, the guy starts to get a little bit nervous. Anything over 20, people just kind of, it's that sense of confidence of, 25 seconds on him, or 30 or 40. But when you get down to teens, it just doesn't sound.
No, it certainly makes you start sweating the bullets. There's no doubt about that. As we roll through lap number 5 here, white flag will be coming out in less than 5 minutes. Actually, probably about 4 minutes according to timing and scoring right now. So we'll be getting the white flag. 1 lap to go. Interesting point to ponder on this one. We're at 2 hours and 36 minutes. Add another 3 minutes and 30 seconds onto that. We're going to be at 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Read that pit board, Rodney. That is Cameron Strang, Josh's wife, and she's got a message for her
Rest
hubby.
Tomorrow.
Last lap. Push.
Last lap. That's it.
There you go.
Last
Minus
push.
20 seconds. Rest tomorrow. Last push. In other words, she's saying, hey, honey, I'll drive home. Whatever we need to do, let's go get this win.
So as I was saying there, Johnny, I was looking at the lap times and stuff here. So we're 3 minutes out. So we're going to be let's just call it 2 hours and 40 minutes basically into this race when we have the white flag. And then it'll be another 32 minutes on top of that. So we're going to be in the 3 hour 10+ range, likely when the checker flag finally flies on this one.
Yeah, there's Caleb Russell on screen leading the way. And I tell you what, anything over 3 hours by more than just a matter of seconds, I think for these guys, I know talking with them, it just starts to feel longer and longer. So 3:12, 3:14 for these guys, it's going to feel like an eternity out there.
No doubt about that. And it's amazing what a difference of 15 minutes can make, or 20 minutes can make on someone's day. But and you know it as well. I mean, and you know, we talked about it. You know, like yesterday, it was a little longer race for you guys yesterday. It ended up being a 5-lap race because had we not, it would have been like 20 minutes short or something like that.
Yep.
So you guys went a little bit longer yesterday too.
Yeah, you know it's a bad day. I know it's a bad day when I start doing math in my head through the race, trying to figure out how many laps we're going to do. There is Josh Strang, second-place rider through the mulch pile, still very much on the throttle and keeping that gap stable. He's going to really want to chip away at this one as much as possible early in this final lap if he's going to have any chance to get to the rear wheel of Caleb Russell and battle for a win here. But that, for me, is how I can always tell the day's not going well. After 2 laps yesterday, I started doing math in my head and figuring out, okay, well, if it's going to be a 4-lap race, I think I got enough in the tank. I was kind of over the track. I was over my riding. And at that moment, I realized when I did the math, I was like, man, it's going to come out to like an hour 40-ish, because I always try to figure how far am I off the lead. I start doing math, way too much math instead of focusing on riding. Long story short, I knew when we came in, before actually we even came in to finish 2 laps, I knew it was going to be a 5-lap race. And that, you know, when you're having a rough day, that can be very mentally defeating.
Yeah.
Able to dig deep and say, okay, well, I got 2 good laps left in me, and I had a great lap 3 and 4, and then lap 5, wheels just came off the bus. Josh Strang does not look like the wheels are coming off the bus.
No, not
it
at
looks
all.
like he's pushing for all he's worth, and he's doing everything he can. And it's crazy to think, Rodney, 2 hours and 38 minutes and change into this race. These guys still separated by 20 seconds.
Crazy. Less than a minute, we should be seeing our leaders near the finish line region, at least Caleb Russell. As we see, I believe he's now dropping down into the, or should be dropping down into the pro pit area here pretty soon.
Russell's actually out of the pits.
Okay.
And
well, that makes
headed
sense.
the other direction. Josh Strang just coming into VP Fuels Pro Row.
That makes perfect sense, honestly, there for us. So
there is Caleb Russell already
at the
through.
finish line.
Yep.
And actually, I think he's a little ahead of schedule.
Well, no, this is still the I'm sorry, that was the auxiliary pits.
Yeah.
This is the KTM factory pits.
Okay, all right.
He's now leaving.
All right, so
That's about
is that gap still 20 seconds? I was going to say it looks like that gap is way closer than 20 at this point.
Now, he's still got a chicane and another section of pits before he gets to where we just saw Russell.
I counted 17 seconds.
17. So Ryan's saying he's gained about 3 or so seconds, but regardless, he's got another lap to go, and that any bit of a gap, it's going to be tough to bridge on Caleb Russell, especially with this kind of flow that he's been having today. I mean, falling back to the second place position early in the race behind Ben Kelly there for a little bit, but once he made that pass, he just pretty much laid down the law and let these folks know that you know, this is going to be his race today, or that's what he wanted to convince those guys of. And you know what's really neat and interesting, I know that Caleb's gotten some wins here in the past, maybe even last year. I'll have to look back at last year's results. Actually, last year was Thad Duvall, Caleb Russell coming up in second. And Johnny, you pointed out something there in between the breaks a few moments ago. You know, even though this is Caleb Russell's family farm and he grew up here and literally on these soils, this isn't necessarily one of his most favorite racetracks.
Yeah, I don't actually know how he feels about it in terms of his liking it or not liking it. But I know if you look at his results here over the years, honestly, they've been fairly, by Caleb Russell standards, subpar. You know, this is a rider that has won so many races and won, you know, multiple years in a row at multiple places. But this is not one where that's really happened. He's led here a lot. He might have led the most laps of anyone here, but as far as wins, it seems like they seem to elude him late in these races. Thad Duvall snatching a few from him over the years. Historically, I remember Paul Whibley actually snatching away what would have been Caleb Russell's first win right there out in front of our studio right there.
Yes, I remember that.
Caleb Russell was doubling, but Paul Whibley actually doubled into something that wasn't meant to be a double and was able to take Caleb's line away. And the finish line was just to our left here where the scoring trailer, or where the TV trailer is sitting. So, I mean, what's that distance? 200 feet? 200 feet from the finish line, Caleb Russell lost what would have been his first ever overall victory. There is Grant Baylor, and he is off and in pursuit of Josh Strang. And if you look, Rodney, what's the gap there? He may have made up a little more time. It was 30, and then it was 20. What are we at now?
25 seconds. See, Josh Strang 19 seconds behind Caleb Russell, and then 25 seconds back to Josh Strang is what timing and scoring is telling us right now. So the gap, I don't know, man. I mean, Grant looks to be a little more aggressive than what we saw him a lap ago, and even throughout the course of this past lap number 5 itself. Here on the final lap, I think that maybe he's lighting it up right now.
Yeah, and aggression will go a long way. If he's going to make up that 25 seconds to catch Strang and another 19 to get up there to battle Caleb Russell, he's going to need to get on it. And but still, I mean, in a podium position, again, this would be a very, very solid run. Here is Ben Kelly, a solid run for him, still sitting in that 4th place spot physically. Here in a matter of just a few moments, we'll know if Craig DeLong has been able to make any inroads towards catching up that gap to take away the 4th place spot in the overall uncorrected time. But last lap, you said Ben Kelly had an 18-second gap over Craig DeLong after you take out or add in the corrected time. So Ben Kelly still riding in that 4th place overall position. You know, and it's funny because the top 4 as they run were the top 4, or, you know, Kelly and Grant Baylor were battling over that 3rd place spot late in the race last race. So 2 races in a row, Caleb Russell leading the way, Josh Strang in 2nd, Grant Baylor battling for today, having the 3rd place position. Last week, a week or 2 weeks ago, it was this guy, Ben Kelly, getting that 3rd place spot. So it seems right now, at least, these are the 4 guys that are kind of establishing themselves at the front of the XC1 and overall races.
Well, rolling through the final lap, 2 hours, 43 minutes. We're again anticipating this race to be somewhere in the neighborhood of, I'm going to say, 3 hours, 12, 13 minutes or somewhere in that department. Caleb Russell leading, Josh Strang, Grant Baylor. Got some messages from Brian Cranham once again, the Chief Marketing Officer there at Sherco. And just a couple of notes here. He just wanted, he's telling me, he says, this is our the number one priority for us. GNCC is the number one priority for those guys. And he says also GNCC is the ultimate proving ground for making these bikes the best that they can be. So good to see that they know that, and glad that they have taken the bull by the horn, so to speak, in that realm.
Yeah, you know, and like I said, I mean, these are machines that have proven themselves.
Oh, Jordan Ashburn down.
Yeah, Ashburn down in the finish line chicane there. That was a slick corner. Saw at the end of the 10 a.m. race, there was a number of riders going down, and they're even coming in for the checkered. So, it looks like he might have done a little damage to the front brake lever there. Bent it up a little bit. Now, Craig DeLong was...
Yeah, physically right there.
Did he not come through? Did he not check
yet.
in?
No, not yet.
All right, well then... Craig DeLong has lost some time. That may have been him. There was just a helmet that popped through. Was that him or no? Yeah, there he is. He's checked in because he's out the other end of scoring.
Now he is 5th place on adjusted time overall. The difference between he and Jordan Ashburn are about 21 seconds. 2:43.41 for Craig DeLong. 2 hours, 44 minutes, and 2 seconds for Jordan Ashburn. So 21-second difference there between DeLong and Ashburn in the top 5 overall position.
Well, and actually, DeLong would be in 5th, and Ashburn would be in 6th.
Yes,
they would be the 4th place rider would be Ben Kelly. How far is he behind Kelly?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Ben Kelly is that 4th place rider at almost 2 minutes now.
Okay, so it was a minute a lap ago, and you could tell DeLong lost some time that lap. I think we got our leaders coming here, and it looks to be still Caleb Russell making some passes here in this Monster Energy Mile, and we don't see Strang in the back shot, and that right now is what Caleb Russell is trying to avoid and Josh Strang is trying to do. Get it down to where he can see Caleb Russell in these sections of track. He's not far back, but he's just far enough, as you can see, he cannot see him anywhere in these woods. There he is.
Yep, there comes the Team Green, Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki rider himself to the Monster Energy Mile, the 114 of Josh Strang. And right now, is Josh in push mode, or is he just, okay, we'll just settle up for second right now?
You don't have an option to be in push mode right there. That's like ice. You know, you've got to just kind of ride it through there. We'll see in some further sections. I see what you were saying there. It almost looked like maybe he had lost a little bit of his rhythm, and he had kind of lost a little bit of aggression. And surely see has had all kinds of aggression. That being said, that's not where you can really see, although Grant Baylor looks like he is definitely pushing through that section, but man, there's such a price to pay on those slick rocks. It's so easy to go down, as you can see Grant just sliding away. I think we're still up in that 25-second range, though.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think he's been able to bridge the gap much, but with the aggression that he's showing, and if Josh slacks off, that could change very quickly, because, I mean, even through, things like that are going to slow him down. Got a little bit slow at the top of the hill. But, I mean, if he keeps aggressive like that, that could bridge the gap up some. So we could still see that battle shape up for second. I think we're a little far out for a battle for Caleb unless Caleb makes some sort of mistake out there. I think this one, if we're going to see the battle, it's going to be for the second-place position between Strang and Grant Baylor.
Caleb took a look to his right. I'm not sure if he was looking down.
Yeah, just below that is where the FMF power point is, the other side of it. He would have been able to see. So he was probably looking to see if he could see Josh Strang over there and how much time he had put on. I believe we actually have had our second and third place riders check in that XC2 Pro Lights class. I just saw Jonathan Gerard go up towards scoring, and I think we might have second place Cody Barnes in as well.
Yep, Cody Barnes is in, and also Jonathan Gerard, 8th and 9th place overall, second and third in class.
There you go.
That's my dad over there. Getting that final lap.
There we see Grant Baylor on screen in the FMF PowerPoint, still pushing hard, trying to close up that gap, trying to close up the gap on Josh Strang for second, and ultimately I'm sure he'd love to close that gap up on Caleb Russell and be able to battle for that overall win. But right now he is a little bit further behind than he was a lap ago, both from that overall first position and even second place. Last lap he was within sight of Josh Strang. Now he's about 25, 28 seconds back.
You know, I don't know what it is. I don't know if he just gets more fluid and more in tune with the bike as the day goes on. But, I mean, just the way that Grant Baylor is riding now, I mean, he looks so much different on that bike than he did even 2 laps ago.
There's why you don't push in that section. Ben Kelly washes the front wheel and just about goes down. You can see he had to start the bike, re-catches, and that really hurts your rhythm. You know, Ben obviously, I mean, when you say struggling, this guy's in 4th place overall amongst the absolute best riders in the world. But you can see by his body language, just the way he's approaching things. I think this guy is just tired. I think he's training. He's a phenomenal athlete. We saw him battle Charlie Mullins just a few weeks ago for a win in that EMTB series race. But that being said, this is physically different. You use different muscles. It's mentally draining. He was able to hold on for a podium 2 weeks ago. Today looking like probably going to have to settle for that 4th place spot. Here we see someone stealing the Monster Energy sign. So he's probably going to go ahead and get in a lot of trouble here in a minute when he tries to come walking out of the woods and security snags him up. So I'm sure it's being radioed right now. So that was a really poor decision on his part to do that live on the live feed. So, yeah, we're going to be getting that back, but thanks for playing.
That's my boy right there. I can see Dad at home watching. That's my boy right there.
I'm sure someone is on the radio right now with security saying, hey, just above the Monster Energy mile there's going to be a young man walking out with a massive monster can in his hands. Go ahead and detain him and get that back. We need that signage.
There's Jordan Ashburn checking in now. He's just riding his race. I think a lot these guys have just settled in right now and just probably at a point where they're like, let's just get this race day over at this point.
Yeah, I think Jordan Ashburn. But, a good push for Jordan. At one point it looked like he was fading back, and then he was able to regroup and actually come back and, make up a little bit of time on Ben Kelly. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to get the job done, but he has pulled away from Craig DeLong, the XC2 Pro Lights leader, who is battling actually for that 5th place spot in the overall.
Johnny, I don't know. To me, and I may be wrong, but it seems like the gaps are a little bit larger than what we were traditionally used to at times for some of these top rides. I mean, what's the difference out there today? What's the separation? Because, I mean, we're looking at 2-minute gaps in between a lot of the positions that were actually one class. And not only those classes, but a lot of other classes, too. What is that huge separation that's making this happen? I mean, at times we get that. I'd say it'd be conditions because of rain or whatever that case may be, maybe dust. But today there's nothing extreme in that respect. So what would be the deciding factor that would keep these guys separated like this?
This track is rough. This track is really, really rough, and it takes a lot out of you. I'm not at my best right now, but I normally don't feel bad after the races. I mean, I'm depleted, I'm tired, I'm ready for it to be over. But yesterday, the last lap, I was physically sick to my stomach. It was all I had just to finish the race at any kind of an acceptable pace. And seeing many other riders this morning, Becca Sheets, who won this morning's WXC race, when she came off, she said, I just want to go back to the trailer. I don't feel well. I think everybody, between the heat, the humidity, and this track, and as rough as it is, I know in talking even yesterday to the ATV guys, Chris Borich, Josh Mayer, everybody I talked to just said, that took a lot out of me, man. That was way rougher than I was expecting.
And, and I think it's evidence in the way we're seeing these guys ride and their stature here late in the race, their ability or non-ability to be able to make the pushes that we see some riders making at this time in the race. I mean, even Grant Baylor, as aggressive as he's being on this final lap, it's not the true aggression that we're used to seeing out of Grant Baylor at this point in the race.
And I think you're surely going to see less effect the higher you go up into the overall, because these guys are, they've got more on the line, and these are the fittest of the fit. They're the best of the best. And I think, like we were talking about a few moments ago off camera, Rodney, it's crazy to see all these years later, Caleb Russell leading a race. There is Grant Baylor coming through. Feet off the peg, still on the throttle. He says, nah, we're not giving up on this thing yet. I'm going to try and run Josh Strang down. I'm going to try and run Caleb Russell down. But Grant Baylor, kind of the younger of, not kind of the younger, definitely the youngest of the top three right now. Caleb Russell and Josh Strang, we talked about it a little bit off camera. Over a decade, these guys have been battling each other for wins. Josh having one championship, Caleb having seven championships. But Josh Strang has been really there battling Caleb for a long, long time, and each of them battling each other. And it's funny, you could say, well, some things never change, but they really have. The trajectory of these guys' careers, the points they've been in their life, in their personal life, so much has changed. But when it comes down to race day, Josh Strang, Caleb Russell out there battling for a GNCC win, and ultimately battling for a GNCC championship. Josh Strang, second in points, the only rider that's been able to wrestle a win away from Caleb Russell so far in 2020. It's really been an exciting season, a resurgence for Josh Strang. Kind of, you could say, business as usual for Caleb Russell. But that being said, these guys are at such a different place than they were a decade or more ago. But one thing that remains the same is for 3 hours on any given Sunday, they're out here battling each other. The difference is now they got some little eyes and some little ears at home watching and cheering on Daddy and married men and
yeah, and they've
men.
got different focuses off the racetrack. Whenever we're not at race day, and I'm sure they're concerned about training and doing those things, but they got to be dad. They got to be a husband. And that's what's really cool. And it's really neat to see that these guys have been able to really make it all work, because I can imagine the dedication that it takes just to be this top-tier athlete, what it takes mentally to prepare for this stuff, and to be able to find time for that, keep yourself mentally strong, and still be a family man. That's saying a whole lot, I think.
Well, it is saying a whole lot, and I think the one thing that's really kind of telling of their perspective, Ben Kelly on screen, 4th place in XC1, 4th place overall. It's kind of telling of their each individual situation, which is very similar to each other. Both having, obviously Josh having a son, Maverick, and Caleb having a son and a daughter, Collins and Crew. And if you look at their social media, if you look at their Snapchat, if you're around them, they're all about their kids right now. Like you said, for sure, they're serious about their training. They're serious about their riding. But guys that consumed their lives just a few years ago, and now it's like, their life is really kind of about their kids. It's, hey, Crew had his first race. Maverick gets to ride on the mountain bike with Josh. When Josh goes out and e-bikes the track, he's got a little seat for him there. Caleb sees that and he's like, that's cool, man. Maybe I should get one of those for Crew, So it's a total different mindset, total different approach to daily life for these guys, really. But again, when you're a top-tier athlete and you're that dedicated to your craft, your perspective may change. Your kind of takeaway from it may change. Your attitude may change, but when the green flag waves, it's business as usual and a right-hand throttle locked, and these guys are just going for it.
And going for it they are, and we'll know who is going to be able to capture this win in about 17.5 minutes. We are anticipating and expecting it to be Caleb Russell, but as Johnny has pointed out on a few different occasions here at the family farm, Caleb Russell has had that win taken away in the closing moments.
Here is Jordan Ashburn coming through. This is your 5th place rider in the... That's Jordan Ashburn, and let's see, that rider behind him, it almost looked like Mike Witkowski. Has he gone a lap down? I don't think that could be the case. It might have just been another Imperiama. There is Craig DeLong, your leader in XC2.
Yeah, no, I think that's just another lap rider because he's still on the lead lap. He's currently 12th place overall. I think he's about 6th place in the XC2 250 Pro class, but
That's the way things are breaking down. So as we take a look at this, we're just over 16 minutes due in before the leaders check in. Caleb Russell wanting to put the explanation point in the final win in his final season of racing here on the family farm. Currently enjoying about a 20-second lead over Josh Strang, who has 25 seconds over Grant Baylor, and another couple minutes back to Ben Kelly. It looks like it's going to be this trio going for the overall win here today. Will anybody be able to bridge some gaps and make some excitement happen? Stick around. GNCC Live continues right after this.
When you crave the canyon passes, rocky trails, rutted tracks, the podiums and personal records, it becomes part of you. The choice now is, do you become a wanderer or the wanderer? You just need to ride where you belong.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
It's hard to put our adventures on hold, but now is the perfect time to prepare for their return. Amsoil has your back with fast, free shipping, and ordering has never been easier. Just look up your vehicle, select your product, add an oil change to your cart, and check out. Spend $50 on Amsoil products and shipping is on us. Order now at amsoil.com.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lead, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
Yamaha GNCC University returns, calling all ATV and motorcycle off-road racers. Are you looking to hone your riding and racing skills? Want to learn hands-on with the best of the best past and current GNCC racers and champions? Then sign up for the 2020 Yamaha GNCC University, returning to Snowshoe Mountain Resort September 23rd through the 25th. We're bringing together Yamaha's ATV and motorcycle racing elites to instruct in-depth courses on fundamentals of racing and riding. During the Yamaha GNCC University, students will participate in lectures about sportsmanship, training, proper nutrition, and mental preparation, along with hands-on skills and drills designed to improve your riding and confidence in a variety of terrain and situations. Reservations are on a first-come, first-served basis with limited openings, evenly split between the disciplines. For more details and to register, call Snowshoe Mountain Resort at 877-441-4386. We look forward to seeing you at the top of Snowshoe Mountain, then on top of the podium. And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher, Mikey Waynes, and Ryan Amancio as we give you the call from Millfield, Ohio, and the Wiseco John Penton GNCC as we celebrate the 31st running here in southeastern Ohio. And, of course, KTM Youth Day here today, a rather exciting event, as always, for the KTM Youth. And, you know, we were talking about Caleb Russell and his results here, and well, what happened here last year? Well, here we go. This is from earlier yesterday. Caleb Russell and crew going down to the Micro 50cc race. And we made mention of this earlier. This is Caleb's last race here at the Russell Family Farm as an XC1 Pro Class rider, and his son Crew's first race as he makes his debut. So kind of a neat situation. And both those riders featured on the KTM Youth Day t-shirt, I think was a pretty neat concept that they came up with as well. Absolutely. And this was Crew's second race now on the his first race on the little E-Pee-Wee or E-Micro. That's the KTM Electric 50 that he's out there racing. And yeah, man, that's a pretty cool thing. Like you said, got to keep a Russell out there racing on the Russell Family Farm. The torch was passed yesterday morning. No doubt about that. That was kind of neat and interesting to see happen as we take a look at last year's Wiseco John Penton GNCC. It was round 6, and as you can see, Jordy Ashburn, Caleb Russell, Josh Toth, a number of the same players that we saw in the early part of today's race. Caleb Russell out around Jordan Ashburn. That's almost like deja vu in a sense of what we saw a year ago. And now we got, as we see, that was 514. Stu Baylor strong on the KTM back a year ago. And then, of course, we ended up with the classic Russell-Duval battle as it began unfolding, and that's something that we saw quite a bit over the last several years until this year due to Thad's injury, obviously. But, man, it was another one of those. Obviously, this is Caleb Russell's family farm, but this is also a home stomping ground for Thad Duval as well, as he grew up on this racetrack, probably racing about as many races as what Caleb has raced here over the years. And he feels like this is home. And Thad Duval ended up taking the win away from Caleb Russell last year. Trevor Bollinger, another rider who is out from that Rockstar Energy team, he finished in the third place position. Stu Baylor took fourth, and Josh Strang rounded out the top 5. It was a hot day a year ago here last year as well. As you can see, guys, cooling off in the pond, and there's the trophy, the ultimate trophy, that Penton gas tank. I've seen the one they've got for this year, another sharp-looking gas tank like that. Looks like it's been come off of a used Penton motorcycle, so I think there's a lot of nostalgia when it comes to winning this particular trophy as far as GNCC is concerned. Absolutely, and John Penton, an absolute pioneer. We've talked about it so many times on the broadcast and off.
an absolute pioneer for the sport of motorcycling and off-road motorcycling in the United States. Really responsible for, in a roundabout and a very direct way, everything that we see here this weekend. He's responsible for, these machines being here. He's responsible for this type of racing being adopted here in the States, and a true pioneer in the sport of
and
racing.
Responsible for allowing me the opportunity to have the greatest job in the world, man.
There you go. Yeah, you get to. I mean, sure. It's a trickle down or trickle up, depending on how you want to look at it. I mean, if there was no racing, you'd be announcing softball games, and that wouldn't be any fun, would it?
I might still be in radio. Who knows?
Well, there you go. But that being said, it was a lot that the sport, and it's cool to see Racer Productions and the GNCC family give back to the Penton name by naming this event after him, and then doing the youth thing, because John is and always has been all about the kids.
No doubt. And one thing to point out, John isn't here this year, and I did not expect him here for obvious reasons with the recent quarantine and being an older gentleman and stuff. So John didn't make it out this year, but I think he's, like 93 years old or something like that now?
Yeah, well into his 90s, I do believe. And again, given the current climate that we live in, I'm sure responsible and good decision on his part to stay home rather than being around thousands.
Oh, he wanted to come. It was Jack that said no.
I'm sure John said, I'm not worried about it. Nothing's been able to get me this far. Caleb Russell still out front and leading the way. Went around that corner at 07:02, so we'll see what the gap is back to Josh Strang. But yeah, John Penton, a phenomenal man, has been out here for many, many years, shaking hands. And again, the exact reason why he's not here is because he is so personable, wants to talk to everybody, shake hands. We're over 20 seconds now. We still don't see Josh Strang. So that being said, are we going to see Grant Baylor be able to close up that gap on Strang, as we're now over 30 seconds and still no Josh Strang? So has Caleb Russell picked it up? Has Josh Strang fallen off the pace? Will Grant Baylor be able to reel him in, or are we overreacting to nothing? Now we're over 40 seconds. So this is Grant Baylor time.
Yeah,
Grant Baylor should be coming any moment.
So we're getting into the Grant Baylor range, and Saul, Josh, we were talking about the non-aggressive riding style. It didn't look like Josh was being totally aggressive and just putting his time in on this lap. So easily maybe could have gotten stuck, maybe got behind some lap traffic. Yep, there he is. He's still in that number 2 spot, but like you said, Caleb could have really picked up his pace on this final lap.
Yeah, he's now over a minute down, and there is Grant Baylor. Grant Baylor has Josh Strang in his sights, Rodney.
Wow, literally can lay bead on him right now, and this could be interesting in these closing miles. About 2.5, 3 miles left to go before we find the finish line out here. So with that time, I'm going to guess somewhere in the neighborhood of about 6 or 7 seconds is what that gap was between the second and third place positions there, Johnny. And with that kind of momentum that the Grizzly has going right now, Grant Baylor might be able to bridge that gap, mount that challenge, and this could get interesting for the second place position today.
Yeah, I think it's already gotten interesting. I think we might be seeing the tail end of an exchange between these two in the Penton section, because for them to be that close, I would have to assume that Josh Strang knows Grant Baylor is there, and Grant Baylor obviously knows that Josh Strang is right there in front of him. So this is really starting to heat up.
Heating up, no doubt about it, as we continue to wait here at the 7-mile marker, 9.5-mile marker, if you will, after the addition of the John Penton section of this racetrack. Again, this racetrack about 13 miles long today, somewhere just under the 13-mile mark. Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, Grant Baylor, 1, 2, and 3. They have literally 2 minutes plus over the rest of the field. Grant Baylor and Josh Strang closing up here on this final lap of racing, while Caleb Russell continues to stretch things out with about a 45-second lead as he makes the final push toward the checker flag and win number 66 in his GNCC racing career.
Boy, I tell you what, cool to see Caleb riding to what appears to be another win here with less than a mile left to go. But I'm really excited to see Josh Strang and Grant Baylor come out into this field, because I think we're going to see some fireworks.
Absolutely, and with the 4th of July just around the corner, couldn't be a better time and a more fitting time to see some fireworks in GNCC.
That's right, and this display is free, folks. You don't have to pay anything. Just log on to GNCC Live on RacerTV.com, and you're going to see some fireworks here in a matter of about 30 seconds if we get that same drone shot. I think these guys are going to be wheel to wheel, and there's going to be some explosions.
And one thing that we do know is if Grant has to make some aggressive pass, he will go for it.
Yeah, we know that. Ryan, how old are you, Ryan?
Huh?
How old are you?
11.
He's 11 years old. He knows that.
There is Strang. It doesn't look like Grant's quite close enough to really put the pressure on him, but he can't be too far back. He was right there in that tight section.
Right.
I think Strang might have seen him coming and turned it up. There is Grant right there. So they're close. Not bar-banging close, but they are real close.
4.5 to 5 seconds is what. Ooh, a little mistake there in that mulch section. Maybe a little time lost by Grant Baylor, but he sees him, and he's looking ahead. He's looking at the position just ahead of Josh Strang right now, and that's what he's riding for as we watch him here in this section of racetrack.
Yeah, that's not a comfortable gap, but if you're Josh Strang, no, that was it. Grant Baylor goes down. That's going to hand that second-place position to Josh Strang, but still, Grant's got to be pleased with the day, and he was definitely going for it.
Yeah, he was, and yeah, just like you said, he has got to be pleased. If he's not pleased, that's a good thing too, because you know he wants more, and if he feels like he's got more and can achieve more, you know he's going to be going for more in the future. And just a phenomenal ride by Grant, really putting in the solid one today. A top 5 start right off the bat, and has held a top 5 position all day long, and that's something that I can't recall saying about Grant Baylor in a long time.
Here's the replay. You can see he buries it into that rut, and actually it looked like the rear wheel missed the rut. So he thought he had the rear wheel in, the front wheel was in, and when he got on the gas, it looked like the rear end just came around on him.
All right, but Caleb Russell is coming out of the pits any second now, going down that hill.
Yep.
Pretty sure.
Is that him? Nope.
No. That's him over there going down that hill.
All right, so Caleb Russell now making his way onto the motocross track as Ryan Amancio makes the call for us here from the broadcast booth. We can see across this Sunday Creek motocross facility and see what's going on. Look at this. Caleb Russell is just easing it in.
He's just cruising around. He says, I did my work. I'm going to enjoy these last couple corners. These may be Caleb Russell's last laps around. I just got chills there, Rodney.
Yeah.
Last laps around the Russell family farm. His grandfather, Howard Russell, has owned this place. His father, Jeff, has raced here. Caleb has raced here. Yesterday, Crew Russell, his 5-year-old son, raced here for the first time. And Caleb Russell looking to take his final checkered flag here at the John Penton GNCC.
Rounding the final turns here at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC, Caleb Russell caps off win number 66 in his career, heading toward championship number 8 here in the 2020 season. As Johnny Gallagher pointed out, the last laps turned as an XC1 Pro Class rider here at the John Penton GNCC, and heck, it may be the last laps ever turned by Caleb. I don't know what his plans are for the future. He may come back in a few years, race some age classes, maybe not, who knows. But yeah, just like you said, I mean, that was a historic checker flag that just flew right there, and the goosebumps that you got, rightfully so, man, because that was huge. That was monumental. What a way to leave this place that has given us so many fits over the years, has taken so much away from him as far as wins, that first win, and a win here and a win there, and he's able to make it happen here today.
Josh Strang taking a look over his shoulder. He sees Grant there, and he says, man, I got just enough on you, and I'm glad this one's over. Grant put in a heck of a charge, washing out in that corner, ended his chances, ended his hopes of getting second, but still, third place for Grant Baylor, third place for Sherco today, redeeming themselves after a rough outing 2 weeks ago, and that is one happy man right there. Josh Strang riding up again. Here's the difference of a few years ago. Look at these guys. They're going to do the fist bump, total respect between each other, and Grant Baylor there as well. Well-deserved between the three of those guys, your overall podium for the day.
And speaking of which, I think those guys will be headed down to the podium. We're not doing podium celebrations, but we're getting interviews with those guys coming up here in just a few moments with Mikey Waynes. So with that being said, there is, again, your top finishers in the XC1 class. Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, Grant Baylor, 1, 2, and 3. We are still waiting on fourth place position. Ben Kelly physically on the racetrack. He had fallen to over 2 minutes here on this final lap of racing. That, as we told you with the elapsed time there a few moments ago, I think there was 12 seconds or something like that separated Ben Kelly and Craig DeLong. Regardless, this is a good opportunity for Craig DeLong to possibly bridge the gap and take a fourth place position overall finish. And I know we were looking at points a few minutes ago. Craig is literally fourth overall in the top 20 overall, even coming from the XC2 class right now.
Yeah, we had seen that gap was actually down quite a bit, but then I think at last look, I think it was up closer to 2 minutes back to Craig DeLong from Ben Kelly. But you never know. I mean, Craig DeLong looks to still be charging. Ben Kelly looks as though he has lost a little bit. So we should know that here. I believe we may have seen Ben Kelly headed. headed towards the finish. Couldn't tell if that was him on the moto.
Ben Kelly's up at that hill right now, so he will be coming down in a few
Ben
moments.
Kelly, like you said, working his way over to the moto track, and we'll see if he's able to hold on to that 4th place overall. We know he is 4th in that XC1 Pro class. We'll just see exactly what the gap is back to Craig DeLong. Ben Kelly, I can tell you, this is a guy that's probably not going to be pumped on this 4th place finish, but if I were him coming back from injury, a 3rd 2 weeks ago, a 4th today, this guy's right in the thick of it.
He is, and if you look at the demeanor of every one of these riders coming off the racetrack, I mean, it's not taking anything away or even saying anything negative about the conditioning level that Ben is at, coming off of that injury. He's still in phenomenal condition. There's no doubt about it. But, I mean, you can see by the body language of these riders, they are very, I think, spent, I guess would be a good way to put it. I mean, he didn't really look like an aggressive race. It didn't look like a race where a lot of energy was exerted. But as you said, Johnny, I mean, everywhere we looked out there on this racetrack, I mean, you've seen braking bumps, acceleration bumps, you've seen rocks protruding out, you've seen ruts, I mean, it was not an easy racetrack by no stretch of the imagination just looking at it visually.
No, definitely not. I mean, like I said, a very, very physical race course, demanding physically, demanding mentally. And Caleb Russell riding through the vendors row there and back towards the KTM semi. Looks like if we're going to get interviews with him, it's going to be back at the semi.
3 hours, 12 minutes, and 50 seconds.
No, he is going to the podium. Look at that. All right. Well, they got the message across. I thought he was headed towards the semi, but he's right up across from us there at the podium. Caleb Russell has ridden up, and it looks like Mikey Waynes is about ready for him.
Yeah, 3 hours, 12 minutes, and 50 seconds, nearly 3 hours, 13 minutes of this race here today at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. And Caleb makes his way up onto this specialized victory lane one final time here at the Russell Family Farm as we throw things down to Mikey Waynes. Well, I thought Mikey was ready. He'll get him, though. Oh, yeah, he's cleaning up the mics for him. Okay, all right. So we're getting taking care of protocol there to make sure that we're not spreading infectious disease. So way to go, Mikey, and being on top of things there. Let's head on down now. Big smile on Caleb's face, but you can see he's spent too, just like everybody else.
We can share.
There we go. Whew. It's always something, Rodney. Caleb Russell, man, another race here in 2020. The farewell tour continues, and you've got so many wins. And before we talk about how you snagged this win here today, how special is it to be racing here at the John Penton in your final full season, I should say, and what's this win mean to you? How does it stack up to the rest?
It's awesome. It's been, I won 4 straight. And then I had 3 years where I just had some bad races, some bad luck, and some things happened. But I was wanting to get this win really bad. It was tough. I was hoping, for rain all weekend because I thought it'd be fun. Have one final mud race here at the family farm. But I wished for the rain, and it didn't happen. When I don't want it to rain, it usually rains. So I should have just came not wanting it to be a dust bowl or something, and then it would have rained. But it's awesome to get the win in front of I'm not local anymore, obviously, but I've been long removed from the area, but it's nice to come back. Still got a lot of family and friends around that are out here cheering me on. So thanks to everybody out there. It was a tough racetrack. It was had some traction here and there to be found, but it was slim pickings. For the most part, it was really slick, and got a good start. I think I got the whole shot, and just rode pretty patient the first lap, and made a mistake in the John Penton section. Ben got around me, got back up by him on the second lap. I felt really good, and I put the hammer down and tried to gap those guys, and they picked it up as well, and I was only able to get that little buffer, but held it most of the day. And I had some more camelback issues. I ripped my camelback line out of my camelback and didn't have water all day, so I was taking bottles at the pit stop, but I grinded it out, man. I was hating life on the last lap and a half. I was like, damn, not again. But we got it done. That's all that matters.
That's exactly right, Caleb. Well, one more thing, and we'll let you get rehydrated, man. As you came into the last, the motocross section of the track, it looked like for you kind of slowed down. What was going through your head right there? Were you slowing down on purpose, trying to take it all in one last time as an XC1 Pro? Yeah, I definitely thought about it. I was, you know, last time cruising around for a win here, so at least at a professional level. So definitely was able to, you know, soak it in for a minute. Had a nice little lead, and Josh let me get away, so, you know, I was able to kind of cruise it on in and enjoy the last, you know, mile or so. There you go, guys. Caleb Russell, congratulations, my friend. Enjoy this win. Caleb Russell capturing the win here at the Wiseco John Penton.
Congratulations. Goosebumps again, hearing Caleb talk about this situation and circumstance, and to hear him say it just the way that he said it, it's nice. He said, my last time around as a professional anyway. So that right there could tell you that Caleb might have some things up his sleeve as far as the future is concerned. There's that nice looking John Penton gas tank, or that Penton gas tank that we were talking about, which is our trophy. Hey, folks, I don't know, you know, we mentioned it a couple times this weekend, but or at least today, they're going around selling 50-50 tickets today. Amber Russell, who is a cousin of Jeff Russell and the Russell family, Howard Russell's niece, actually, has a well, she's not doing very well right now. She's in the hospital, and our prayers and thoughts are out for her this weekend. I know she's been a mainstay as far as this GNCC, and she's been the biggest fan and supporter and rooter of the John Penton GNCC as anybody. But Amber in the hospital this weekend up at the James A. Rhodes Cancer Center at Ohio State, and our thoughts and prayers with you. With the folks around here doing a 50-50 drawing for her to try to help raise a little bit of money to help out with some medical expenses and things like that. So we're going to draw the ticket here. Looks like you guys sold quite a bit of them. What's the how much are we looking at?
The pot total was $393, so we're giving the winner $196, and then the other half will go to her.
$196 to both, and the ticket number 167102. 167102. If you've got that, where do you want them to go? All right, come over here to the tent and find the lady with the 50-50 tickets. What was that, Adam? I'm sorry, I missed that. Yeah, I think that is Josh Strang. You know, we were talking there just a few moments ago about the just what this racetrack does to an individual, or at least what this racetrack was doing to individuals today. Even Josh Strang, at the physical conditioning level that he's at, is finding himself off to the side of the track there. You see the bike laying on its side, cold towels on the back of the neck and on the head right now, pouring water down his body, just trying to cool him off and just get him resorted back. And, you know, we noticed the demeanor of Josh changing quite a bit over the course of that last lap. We saw him go from a somewhat aggressive stance and one that he looked like he was attacking and trying to make things happen, to one where he was just basically riding the position out to the finish line and the checker flag to take and secure a top finish here today. Hey, Ryan, thank you very much for stopping by, buddy. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
All right, Ryan Amoncio is going to step out. He's going to go cheer on his dad. All right, so they're telling us that don't look like we're going to get Strang on a podium anytime soon, and I don't know that Grant's up there at the podium just yet. We're going to give it another 5 or 10 seconds here to see what happens, I think. But that's pretty much going to do it, I think, for the day today. What a day, and who would have thought coming into this race day today that this would be as physically demanding as what it has been. It certainly has put the riders, track crew, race fans, and everyone to the test here this weekend. We were blessed with great weather, a few sprinkles in the evening time hours on Friday and Saturday night, but all in all, a dry weekend and a muggy weekend as well here at Millfield, Ohio, as Caleb Russell takes his final win here around this race course at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. Josh Strang in second, Grant Baylor third, Ben Kelly fourth, Craig DeLong, who wins your XC2 250 Pro Class, rounds out the top 5 overall. Then it's Jordan Ashburn in 6th, Josh Toth in 7th, Cody Barnes in 8th, Jonathan Guerrar in 9th. That's 3rd place. Barnes 2nd in the XC2 250 Pro Class. And then Jonathan Guerrar getting 3rd. Jonathan Johnson rounds out the 4 in that class, and he's 10th place overall. 5th in the class, Liam Draper is 11th overall. Mike Witkowski finishes up 6th place. All right, so we're getting word that Josh Strang has gotten some life breathed back into him, a little bit of energy. One last push as he heads to the podium here. As you can see, the riders spent, as we said, this race course taking its toll on everybody today, and we head down to Mikey Waynes to get the word right from the bird himself, Josh Strang.
Thanks, Rodney. Yeah, Josh, we'll make it quick for you, brother. I know you're hurting. You're up on the hillside laying down after this one, able to capture the second-place finish, man. What did it take to finish out this John Penton GNCC?
Yeah, it was a tough race today, so it's always tough here, but, man, the heat just takes it out of you. So, yeah, tough day.
Well, Josh, man, we get you the TV time in there. We'll let you get rehydrated and recoup.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the podium finish today, man.
Thanks. And just try and come up here. Every race I'm up here, so. Babbitt's online, Monsanji, Kawasaki. Thank you.
There you go. Josh Strang finishing second place today. That's going to do it for him. Rodney, we'll take it back to you, my friend.
All right, visibly drained here today. No doubt about it. As we said, this track really taking its toll on riders out here today, but certainly making for an exciting battle all weekend long as we check out the race highlights. Caleb Russell getting off to the early lead, literally threading the needle, coming from the middle of the pack and taking the whole shot. Caleb Russell going down there, you see just a little slide out. That's how even the best of the best make it happen. We saw that at one point the 530 Ben Kelly taking over the lead. Caleb Russell back in the number 2 spot. Had themselves a good little battle going on. Of course, always back there in the shadows, Josh Strang, Grant Baylor, and there we see later in the race not only Caleb Russell having problems, but Josh Toth, and those problems compounded, took him out of a battle for a top 3 just to hold on to a top 5 position. But when it was all said and done, Caleb Russell had the moment to reflect in the closing turns as he made his way to the finish line checkers and win number 66 in his final year of racing, working on championship number 8. That's going to wrap things up here from Millfield, Ohio, and the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. For all of us here at RacerTV.com, myself, Rodney Tomlin, also Mikey Waynes, Johnny Gallagher, and thanks to Ryan Amancio. We'll see you in a couple weeks when we head to the Hoosier GNCC at the Ironman in Crawfordsville, Indiana. Till then, God bless everybody.